Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, it's a Friday. It's time for another video. And it's time that I address the elephant in the room. Now, I was going to do a video today, which was going to be a full exposure of the atomic deck, breaking down exactly how it works, and I'm basically talking about everything. And that video will be coming. Don't worry about it. But I thought I need to do another video first. And the reason is there's been a lot of information and misinformation flying around the internet about the atomic deck. There's been a lot of people saying things that aren't true. There's been other people saying things that are true. There's been a lot of reviews. A lot of people are very, very happy with their atomic deck. I have never seen more people post live performance videos of them performing a trick than anything else I've ever released. So there's a lot of people out there that are absolutely loving the atomic deck, but it cannot have escaped your attention that there's, you know, a certain percentage of people, especially on YouTube comments and in certain Facebook groups, that are very, very negative about the atomic deck, but more specifically about me and about my character. And, you know, the level of hate that's been going on in various different YouTube comments has been absolutely insane. And you probably noticed, if you watched the Magic News on Tuesday, I filmed that just after watching a particular review, and it really upset me, and I was feeling very mopey. It was kind of a bit of a Craig Petty pity party. And genuinely, I was like, why the hell am I doing this? I then, you know, spent a couple of days reflecting and realized why I'm doing this. But I wanted to do a video where I address every single person's comments about the atomic deck. I have literally made a list. I've done what I never do on this channel. I got myself organized. I've made a list, and I'm going to talk very openly, very directly about every single thing people have said about the atomic deck. And I'm also going to share with you some very exciting news about the atomic deck for people that have got it, that own it, that are happy with it. No holds barred. I'm going to address absolutely everything. Now, I know before I even start, there's going to be people that are going to be saying, oh, Craig, you know, he can't handle a negative review. I'm more than happy to handle a negative review. I'm fine with that. This is not a rant. I don't do rants on this channel anymore. The amount of people that say to me in comments, oh, Craig's going to get red-faced and he's going to rant. I haven't done a rant on this channel in about a year. I'm not ranting. I'm just telling you how things are from my point of view. And you know what? I agree with every single review out there, because honestly, a review is an opinion on something, and everyone's got a different opinion. There's tricks out there that I love, there's tricks out there that I hate, and other people might love them and hate them as well. It's very, very eclectic, and that's fine. But there's certain things that are being said that not only it's not true, but people that are, you know, thinking about buying the atomic deck, they're maybe reading this stuff and not realizing exactly the full picture. So let's get into this. I'm going to break this down one point at a time. So the first one, this is the one that you've probably heard unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years. The first thing that a lot of people are saying is you have to get the spectator to change their mind. A lot of people, oh, the atomic deck is the worst trick in the world because you have to get the spectator to change their mind sometimes. You put the deck on the table. A lot of the time, you can just pick up the deck and you can deal to it, but there's going to be times where you have to get the spectator to change their mind. That is not the Holy Grail. Craig and Murphy's Magic, they marketed the atomic deck as the Holy Grail. They said that this is the best thing that you'll ever see. Mark Paul said that this is basically the closest thing that you've ever got to an got to the Burglass effect. And Burglass, you know, he would never get a spectator to change their mind. That wouldn't happen. This isn't a real ACAN, because what you have to get the spectator to change their mind. So for all of those people that have literally ripped me apart and said that it's not a real ACAN because Burglass would never do an ACAN and get people to change his mind, let's have a look at this, shall we?
Somebody, let's say, lady in the second row, one of you, would you call a card, please? Queen of Hearts. And could you give me a number, please? No, a bit, make it somewhere in the middle of the deck.
11.
Make it the highest, because it's easy if it's a lower number.
25.
Go on.
25.
Fine, thank you. Just somewhere in the middle of the pack, that's what we wanted.
Hang on a minute. That was David Burglass asking someone to name a card, tick, no problem, and then saying name a number, and she named 5. And he went, no, name a higher number somewhere in the middle of the deck. And she went 11. And he went, no, it's too easy down at the bottom. Name another number. And then she went for one in the middle of the deck. Isn't that exactly what people are saying that is so bad about the atomic deck? The atomic deck is terrible. It's terrible because you have to get a spectator to change their mind. The horrors. Well, here's the thing. The atomic deck has been built so that, and we'll talk about this in a minute, 90% of the time, as long as you use the correct scripting, you'll never have anyone change their mind. You'll never need to have anyone change their mind. Even without scripting, 73% of the time, you'll never have anyone change their mind. But occasionally, you do have to get somebody to change their mind on one aspect of the selection. That doesn't mean it's not a good ACAN. It means that occasionally you have to reframe the spectator. You know, that's what David Berglas did in that clip. And the audience absolutely loved his performance. So every ACAN has negatives and positives. I, for years, have performed Position Impossible. Position Impossible is amazing. It's a great trick. But they'll pick the same card every single time. Even though they feel like they've got a free choice, they'll pick the same card every single time. The Assy Wins is great. It's an ungaffed deck. But you have to memorize a deck of cards. You have to do some pretty heavy lifting when it comes to mental arithmetic. And you have to do a, frankly, quite difficult move. And it's a difficult move to make look good. And you have to do it under heat. Now, the people that can do it, like Assy, make it look wonderful. But there's still things that you have to do. There's no way that you can just put a deck of cards on the table and have someone name a card and have someone name a number and the card appears there. Not even Berglas can do that. Despite the myth that's been surrounded around the Holy Grail, not even Berglas could do that. Sometimes he has to get people to change their mind. And how did he do that? Could you change your mind? He actually got them to change it twice. I read some comments going, oh, sometimes with the atomic deck, you have to get them to change their mind and you have to get them to change their mind again. Well, that can happen in very rare situations. But it's totally not an issue. It's really not an issue. And the thing is, and this is the thing that a lot of people have failed to actually say, Peter Turner on the project spends an hour and a half talking about how to actually make this look incredible, how to take a spectator's, when you have to get a spectator to change their mind, how you make it seem like an absolute positive. And I've said this before on various different videos, watch the trailer, because you'll see people saying, but I changed my mind. And that's what people will say. It's totally not an issue having people change their mind as long as you know how to do it. The problem is, and this is a recurring theme, a lot of people that are leaving negative comments, I don't know if it's they're new into math, and I'm not talking about reviewers, I'm talking about people who leave comments on various different videos that have come out that attack me and attack the trick. They, A, probably haven't got it. And B, if they have got it, they're probably new into magic and they don't realize that techniques like this are very, very simple and very, very easy to do. There's Berglas changing his mind and people loved it. So you have to get to people to change their mind. Yeah, doesn't make it a bad trick and you only have to do it occasionally. Okay, so the second thing to talk about, and it's kind of tied into the first, which is, oh, Craig says it works 90% of the time when it's actually 73% of the time. Well, you know, I'm going to do an exposed video on the atomic deck at some point very, very soon. But let's just be completely honest about this. How the atomic deck works is when you put the deck on the table, unboxed or boxed, with no, if you just said, name a card, name a number, 73% of the time, that card will appear at that number, 73% of the time. Now, how it works is when you kind of get into the 20 to 40 range, or the sort of the 18 to 40 range, it is so much higher. It's probably close to about 95%. But if you discount the queens, and you discount the aces, and you discount lower numbers, and you discount kind of number 52, then you're going to get a 89 to 90% hit rate, which means when you use a presentation like that, 90% of the time, that card will be correct. That card and that number combination will work. And a lot of you know, I went on the Alakazam Live yesterday, or not yesterday, it was a couple of days ago now, I can't remember when it was Tuesday. And I spoke about the atomic deck on the Alakazam Live, and I actually performed to Pete Nardi and Wayne Goodman the atomic deck. And I had them name a card, I had them name a number, and the card was at that number in the deck. Now, I was using a new method. I was using the crib method, which we're going to get to later, because here's the thing. I'm announcing some exciting news about the atomic deck. I was using the crib method, so there was no phone in play. There was no phone off to the side of the screen. I literally had a crib on the back of a pack of cards and on the back of a joker, and that was able to completely eliminate the phone. We'll get to that later, but I'm going to show you this performance. Okay, I'm going to show you this performance now of the scripting, what I say, in order to get it to 90%. Let's have a look at that. I don't have a phone with me. I have no phone here at all. I'm not going to be looking off the screen or anything. I just have the deck of cards. So, Pete, we'll get you to pick a card, and we'll get Wayne to pick a number. So, Pete, pick a card. But before you do, understand that a lot of people, they gravitate towards really, really common cards. Like a lot of people will go for a queen or an ace or something. You can do that, but I'd rather you go for something a little bit more eclectic, something that you don't think many people would think
of. 5 of hearts. Let's go 5 of hearts.
5 of hearts, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so Wayne, over to you now. There's
Any number?
There's 52 positions in the deck. Now, a lot of people gravitate towards common numbers like lucky number 7 or 10 or whatever. You can use any number you want to, but I'd rather you go for an eclectic number, a number that's unique to you that you don't think many people would name.
Okay, what about 21?
21. You sure?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. And you're sure as well, Pete, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to take the cards out of the case, put them down on the table. Nothing left in, nothing like that. Case goes off to one side. So we have position number 21, and we have the 5 of hearts. Okay? So I'm just going to deal to the 21st card. Have a look at this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. This is the 21st card. You said the 5 of hearts, right? So you can see the scripting there. Hey, name an eclectic card. Everyone names queens and aces. Name something else. And as for your number, everyone goes for lucky number 7 or 10 or lower number. Go for something you don't think people will think of. Now, pretty much almost every single time I say that, I'm going to get a number between 15 and 40. And I'm going to get a card that's not a queen and it's not an ace. Now, that is going to give me a 90% chance of that card being at that number. And if it's not, I'm just going to slightly reframe. I'm going to use some of Pete Turner's techniques to have them change their mind. I'm going to make it feel more impossible because I'm going to have them change their mind. It's totally not an issue. It's absolutely, completely not an issue. And I've put down here, because I've made some notes. People are like, oh, you shouldn't sell the atomic deck because it's not any card at any number. So people say one of two things. The first thing people say is, Craig's lying, it's not 90%, it's 73%. Well, no. If you do it the way that me and Lloyd teach you to do it on the tutorial, it's 90%. That's like buying a book on propless mentalism and saying it doesn't work because you're not following the script that you need to use in order to get the propless mentalism to work. If you follow the scripting advice that me and Lloyd give you on the tutorial, it is going to be 90%. If you just put the deck down on the table and say, name a card, name a number, it's 73%. So 7 times out of 10, you're never going to have to do anything. The other, 3 times out of 10, you're going to have to reframe slightly. But if you want to make those odds higher, it's 90%. But then people have been saying, well, you shouldn't include that in the ad copy. You should include that it's not an any card at any number. It's an almost every card at almost every number. That's not how magic marketing works. Let's look at Inferno by Josh J. I use Inferno as an example because everybody knows Inferno. With Inferno, you put an envelope down on the table. You have somebody apparently name a card, or they pick a card, and then you show that there's one card in the envelope, and it's the card. It's a fantastic trick put out by Card Shark. It's by Joshua J. It's called Inferno. And it uses a very old ploy of restricting people to the picture cards. So the opening gambit is, hey, do you want pictures or numbers? And you push people towards the picture cards and then have a free choice of a picture card. Well, actually, you have to bring them down even further, but there's lots of different things like that. Instagram by Patchington is another example where you have to bring people into a particular range. There's lots of things like that. There's routines that have been brought out by David Regal where you have to bring people down to one suit. Totally not a problem. It's fine if you follow the scripting. And it's not like the ad copy for Inferno was, okay, so you're going to restrict people to picture cards, and then you're going to restrict people to queens, but then you can have them have a free choice of queen. No, it's not like that. You're following the techniques on the tutorial, and those techniques are going to give you a hit every single time. It's the same with the atomic deck. You follow the scripting, it becomes 90%. If, in the rare instance, it doesn't work, that's actually a good thing. You then use the techniques that myself and Lloyd and Pete Turner go through. You reframe the audience slightly, you make it sound even more impossible because you're changing one aspect, and that brings it into the 100%. So it's not true to say it only works 73% of the time. It works 100% of the time. It's just that occasionally you might need to get them to change one piece of information, which is fine, because we saw David Berglass do it earlier. I'm going to dwell briefly on number 3 because I kind of already went into it in number 2, but it's a separate question that comes up, so I'm going to mention it. But it goes wrong occasionally. You don't want to buy the atomic deck. It's a piece of shit because it goes wrong occasionally. Well, like I said before, it never goes wrong. And this is the thing about thinking like a magician. And a lot of the people that are saying this, especially in the comments on YouTube, they haven't actually bought the trick. They're listening to various different people talk about it, and they're making assumptions without actually watching the tutorials, without actually watching me and Lloyd talk about it. There's people that are just assuming, oh, I've got all the information I need. My friend told me it was 73%, so it's not going to work. It's a crap trick. It never goes wrong. And if it is in that small percentage where it doesn't go wrong, it's very easy to reframe it into it. And like I said, I've put down here, sometimes you have to reframe. It's part of the method. And we explain exactly how to reframe it. Think about the atomic deck for a second. Just think about it for a second. Think about it. If you were going to approach the A count, forget about whether you think it's a good trick or you think it's a bad trick. Think about it. If I said to you that without any presentational reframing at all, you have to try and come up with a way of putting a deck of cards down on the table, and 73% of the time, over 7 times out of 10, over 2,000 possible combinations out of 2,700, you can literally just pick up the deck and deal to that card. I mean, how would you approach that problem? Because, I've got people saying, oh, all Craig does is rip off other people's tricks. All Craig does is rip off other people's methods. Tell me somewhere where there's anything even remotely like this. Please, honestly, let me know where there's something remotely like this, other than the quantum deck, which this is based on. Find me somewhere where there's something similar to this, because really there's not. You may love it, you may hate it, you may not understand it, but the bottom line is 7 times out of 10, I put that deck down on the table, I have them name a card, I have them name the number, and the card appears at that number. And every trick has a weakness. The weakness here is occasionally I'm going to have people change their mind, which will automatically bring it within range. Brilliant. Awesome. Not a problem. Great. Whatever. So, yeah, that's the next one. Sometimes it goes wrong occasionally. It never goes wrong. And this is the thing that's the oldest trick in the book when it comes to magician's presentation, which is you never tell the audience exactly what's going to happen. You never say to the audience, I'm going to have you pick a card, I'm going to have you pick a number, and the card's going to appear at that number. You don't say that. You tell them ahead of time they're going to need, occasionally you might need to, you say, my presentation is now, I might get you to change your mind. Potentially, might get you to change your mind. It depends. We might make it even more difficult. I might get you to change one aspect of that choice. So you're thinking of a card or a number that you didn't even think you were going to think of. And then later on, if I need to change their mind, I say, now I told you I was going to get you to change your mind. There's millions of different ways of doing it. If you've got 4 spectators, you can have all 4 spectators name a card and a number. And let's say 2 of them are in range and 2 of them aren't, which statistically is unlikely. It'll probably be all 4 or 3 of them. Let's say 2 of them are in range and 2 aren't. You then just, you basically use simple equivocate with the 5th person to get them to pick that one of those 2 people that are within range. There's a million different ways of doing it. And if you don't like any of those things where you have to change their mind, you use the website, unistats.org. Because with the website, they will do that themselves, because the whole presentation of the website is, I want you to find a card and a number where it's a very unlikely chance that that card and number has ever been named. And, if it's over 5%, try and find a different card or number. They're going to reframe themselves. If they get one that's out of range, they're just going to change something until they find one with the correct percentage. And immediately you know what that is and you deal and job done. It's as simple as that. So it's totally not an issue. It's really not an issue. It's something somebody brings up. So let's talk about it. Okay, so the fourth thing, and the big one that comes up more than anything else, is you have to use a phone to do the trick. You have to use the phone. The amount of people that have said in the comments on YouTube, you have to do it's a shit trick because you have to use a phone. Who uses a phone with a card trick? That's something that doesn't happen. And here's the thing, right? I understand where people are coming from. When the atomic deck was created, it was created really in a bubble of 5 people, which is George Tesaro from Murphy's Magic, Lloyd Barnes, Joshua Riley, me, and Rich Relish. We put the whole project together, and nobody talked about it outside of those 5 people. And there were lots of problems that we had to solve in order to get the atomic deck to work. And one of the problems was how to eliminate the maths and the memory work, because the quantum deck, people moaned about the maths and the memory work, and we didn't want to kind of go down that route again. So one of the very early things we wanted to try and do was completely eliminate maths and memory work. And, very early on, we came up with the idea of using technology. And the first thing that we thought of was using a website and having people input the cards and the numbers into the website. The second thing that we came up with was the notes input and the video input and so on and so forth. Nobody for a second thought about not using a phone. For us, the solution was there, the phone. We never anticipated for a second that there would be people out there that would be unhappy with using a phone in a card trick. I didn't, because it's such a thing that you carry around with you, I never thought it was an issue. And people do seem to have an issue with it, and fair enough. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that have been very mean about it, but then there's other people that have said, hey, I like the look of the trick, but I'm not going to buy it because I don't use a phone. It's not my sort of thing. Absolutely fair enough. Now, I will say, with the use of the phone, it's very, very justified as far as I'm concerned, for a couple of different reasons. One, with regards to the notes input, you make a note of stuff on your phone all the time. The amount of time I ask someone to pick a card and pick a number, or pick a card and they forget the card, it happens all the time. So having that notes input there, having that notes impact just makes sense. In an actual fact, I've got some footage that I want to share with you before we talk about the crib, because this is exciting news. But I've got some footage I want to share with you. So Thomas Maloney, who was a friend of mine, came to the House of Secrets the week after Blackpool. So I was in Blackpool the week after everyone else, doing the House of Secrets, and Ryland was doing shows there, 3 shows a day, and I was doing close-up magic beforehand. And Thomas brought his daughter one night to watch, and obviously, because this is literally my favourite thing to do right now, I was doing the atomic deck. I didn't realise Tom was filming me, and he sent me the footage over afterwards. And you see me performing this trick. I'm sitting on the front of the stage. I'm performing it to a family of 4 people. I've got a kid holding their hands out. I'm dealing the cards into the kid's hand. I've got the parent to name a card and a number, and the card appears at that number, and I've got them to note it in a phone. And then I say to the kid, hey, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Name a different card, name a different number, let's see if you can do it. And I repeat the trick, and I have the card appear at the number again when she does it, but she forgets the card. So I have to then go, well, we've got it in the phone. And that's what happens all the time. People forget it in the phone. Now, Tom then sent me this footage. I didn't realise he'd shot it. It's the worst footage in the world, because he's on the other side of the House of Secrets. I'm not aware of being filmed, so I've not got my good side. My good side, by the way, is 5 miles down the road. You've got 15 double chins. But I'm going to play the footage for you. And the reason I am is because it shows a lot of the things that people talk about. This can't be performed in the real world. It can't be done in spectators' hands. You can't repeat the trick. The use of a phone doesn't make any sense. You see me doing all of this, and I'm not doing it to film it as part of a tutorial or a trailer. I'm just performing my favourite trick to real people, and you'll see the reaction, not just from the family I'm performing it to, but the family behind them that are watching as well. And I'm so glad Tom got this footage for me to share it with you. So let's have a look at that footage, shall we, very quickly, just to show you how the phone appears very natural in a real performing situation. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isn't this exciting? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Attention, Max. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You could have said in the car. You said the two apart. You said 28. That's 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. That's crazy. That's mad. How did you do that? You tell me how you did that, because I don't. It wasn't me, it was her. Ask her. She's the one that did the trick. I just said name a card, name a number. Now, question is, do you think you could do it? If I got you, put your hands together, if I got you to say a different card and a different number, do you think you could do it? Let's start with the card. Let's change the two of hearts. What should we do instead? What card? The Ace of Hearts. The Eight of Hearts. Boom, the Eight of Hearts. There we go. Oh, can't spell hearts. There we go. The Eight of Hearts. And what number should we have? 20 what? 24. The Eight of Hearts and 24. Are you sure? The Eight of Hearts and 24. Now you did this, but I mean, you're an adult. There's no way a kid would do this. Now we dealt off the face of the deck with you. Eight of Hearts, 24. We dealt off the face of the deck with you. So I tell you what, for you, I'll deal off the top of the deck, alright? Honestly, I have never seen a kid able to do it. This would be amazing. Look, I'm going to do 1, 2, hang on. 1, 2, let's do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is the 24th card, right? I've never seen a kid do this. 24 cards, you said 24. This would be amazing. What was the card again? It was the 8 cards of 24. I can't even look, you're going to tell me. Is that the 8 cards? What? I don't know. It wasn't me. It was you. That's footage that shows the phone. Now the Jerks made a good comment. I love the Jerks, and he made a really good comment, which a lot of people have then thrown back in my face, which is, why would you have someone name a card and a number, note it down, and immediately start dealing? Now I don't have a problem with that, but I understand where you're coming from, and if that is the case, well, then you know what you could do? You could give somebody the deck of cards, put it in there, and say, look, I'm going to use this at the end of my set. So put that in your pocket for me, will you? And by the way, I want you to name a card, and can you name a number? And we're going to note it down, because we might not get to that card and that number for about 10 minutes. So can you give me the card? Can you give me the number? Fantastic. And I check to make sure it's within range. If it is, I just put my phone down. If it's not, halfway through my set, I might go, oh, by the way, that number, change it to a different number. Okay, I'll just change it in here. Check, perfect. So you can do your set, do whatever other tricks you're doing, and then bring the whole thing full circle and say, now remember I gave you that deck of cards to hold. Can I take that? And you picked a card and a number. Do you remember it? No, don't worry. We wrote it down. You changed the number to that, and that was the card. That's fair, right? And you've been holding this deck from the very beginning, and now you pick the deck and you just deal. And this is using some of the techniques that Pete talked about on the project, and at the same time, it's also showing you that the phone is perfectly natural. With the input on unistats.org, it's even better, because when you're performing to a big group of people, having everyone in the audience involved in the trick is great. I know a lot of people came up to me and bought it at Blackpool after seeing me doing it at the whole Magic Circle Society for about 100 people. Everybody getting involved in the trick. Someone named a card and a number. And the cool thing is, when you do it that way, you don't even have to get them to name a card and a number. They think of it. They just give you the percentage. And then after giving you the percentage, that's everything that you need to know. Once you've got the percentage, you know how many cards, you know the number they're thinking of. You know what you need to do to get the card at that number. And at the same time, You know what the card is because the cards are marked. You know everything. So when you're performing to a group of people, it's even better using that method. And I love using that method. I really do. It's fantastic. But by the by, some people don't like using phones for whatever reason. And that's fine. If you don't like using phones, we didn't realize this would be an issue. But George has been working for the last couple of weeks on a crib. And by the time you watch this, the crib will be in your accounts at Murphy's Magic. And this crib basically means you can get rid of the phone. No phone anymore. You don't need the phone. You do not need the phone. Let me show you what the crib looks like. I have a crib over here. I've blown it up a bit bigger so you guys can see it. This is it. So it's 2 cribs. And that's exactly what it is. It's 5 columns. You've got card values down here. These are the black cards, these are the red cards, and then you've got 4 columns. And it's very simple. We'll talk about where to put this crib in a minute, but you put the crib somewhere, and then you have somebody name a card, you have somebody name a number, and immediately the crib is going to tell you what to do. So, for example, Michael, can you name a card for me? I'll show you how quick this is.
Let's go for 3 of clubs.
The 3 of clubs, and name a number.
34.
3 of clubs, 34.
Yeah.
Done. That's 0.30, which means I deal from the top of the deck and I deal 30 doubles. And if I deal 30 doubles, the 3 of clubs will be at 34. And to prove it to you, and anybody at home, you can check it out yourself on unistats.org, we'll put in the 3 of clubs, we'll put in position 34, and there it is, 0.30. You deal 30 doubles from the top of the deck. That 3 of clubs will be in 34th position. Let's do it again. This is how quick it is. So the way to do it, because you've got 2 cribs, and I'll talk about where they are in a second, but the way to do it is you say to somebody, first of all, name a red. Do you want this card, Michael, to be a red card or a black card?
Gonna go for a black card.
Okay, so I know I'm looking at this crib. Do you want it to be a spade or a club?
Let's go for spades.
So I know I'm dealing with the bottom half of the crib. What spade would you like?
Let's go for the 7.
Now I can see the 7, and name a number.
22.
22. Are
Yeah.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go for that.
2.20, which means that I deal from the face of the deck. I deal 20 doubles, and you said 7 of spades.
Yeah.
Will be in the 22nd position. So 7 of spades. What was the number again?
22.
7 of spades at 22, and I said face of the deck, 20 doubles, right?
Yeah.
And there it is, 2.20, dealing from the face of the deck, 20 doubles. We'll do one last one, and I'll show you how quick it is. I'll do it in real time, because normally you have them on the jokers, and you can put them on the back of these jokers. You size them so that they're the right size for these jokers. I'll talk about that in a second, but normally you're holding the jokers out in front of you. But I'll show you how quick it is. Name a card.
Jack of hearts.
Jack of hearts. So that's this one. Name a number.
17.
Done. It's from the top of the deck. It's 6 doubles. So what was it again? Jack of hearts. Because I forget the card and the number. I'm just thinking of the amount of doubles. So Jack of hearts.
17.
17. What did I say? 6 doubles.
Yeah, 6.
0.06. There it is. 6 doubles. That is how quick it is. So that's 3 examples of using the crib. And I have to say, George is an absolute genius. Like an absolute genius for coming up with this. Let's talk very quickly about, there's going to be a tutorial by Javier and George about how to use this. So I'm going to go briefly into it now. The main method for using this is to have the 2 cribs on the back of the joker. Right? So you have the 2 cribs on the back of the joker. When you've got the 2 cribs on the back of the joker, you can literally just take the 2 jokers would be on the face of the deck. And you don't have to use the jokers from the atomic deck if you don't want to, because they don't know what the back design is and they never see the backs. You can use any joker. But you take the cards out. Let's just say that we put the deck down on the table and we're holding these here. And the first thing I say is right, name a colour. And as soon as they tell me the colour, I can just hold these here. I'm just saying, great, you're going to name a card, but you're not going to name a joker. Do not name a joker. Name a colour. Brilliant. Okay, so name a suit, name a value. So now I know where I'm looking on the thing, and then I just have to look up the number. And immediately, I'll know what I need to do. There's a little bit of math. I'll talk about that in a second. But having it on the jokers makes total sense, because then I can put the jokers away to one side or put them in my pocket. and I can just go into what I need to go into. Now, there's other ways to use it as well. You can put it on the back of the card case. You can actually put it on the back of the card case very, very easily, either on this side or on the other side. Now, obviously, you're only going to have one on the card case, but you can have one on the card case. And what I've been playing around with is having one on the card case and one inside your wallet. So if they name a red card, for example, if they name a black card, I have it this way. If they name a black card, it's inside the wallet. So I go into the wallet to take out money to bet them that I'm going to be correct. But if they name a red card, I don't have to go to the wallet because it's there on the back of the card box. So you can do that absolutely fine. You can have it on a clipboard. If you're doing this on stage, you can have it on a clipboard. And so you can have people name a card and a number, and you can have it on the clipboard so that as you write in the card and the number, you've got the crib there in front of you. An interesting one, if you want to make it really easy, is you can just blow up the suit part, and so you can force a color. So let's say you want to make sure there's just one crib, you can force a color. So you can go, right, okay, name red or black. Red. Okay, so we'll get rid of the red, that leaves the blacks. Now we're going to keep getting rid of cards until we've got one card. Boom, whatever. Or you can force it to a particular suit. That's another way that you can do it as well. If you're doing a Zoom show, you can have the crib blown up on the camera behind you. You can do it. We talk on the tutorial about how you can do it twice, once with the app and once with the crib to cancel out the methods. You can, two things. The way that I plan on doing this, and this is my favorite way of actually using the crib, and I think this is pretty damn cool, is I actually got myself an envelope. Right? I got an envelope, and I sellotape the crib on the other side of the envelope, and I'm going to put the deck inside the envelope. So I bring out the envelope like this, and if you're doing close-up, you can have a smaller envelope, but I like the idea of bringing this out like this and saying, right, okay, I've got a deck of cards sealed inside this envelope. And I'm just blatantly staring at the crib. Like, I'm just staring at it. So I've got a deck of cards. I'll even show you it's in there. Okay, there's only one deck of cards. Can you do me a favour? And I'll show you the math. And we'll talk about the math here very quickly, because I said I was going to talk about the math. So this is how easy it is. So, Michael, do you want a red card or a black card?
Let's go for a red.
Red card. So I know looking on this side of the crib. Name whether it's a heart or a diamond.
Let's go for diamond.
So I know it's at the top part of the crib. And do me a favour, Michael, and name a number.
9 at 28.
So here's what I need to do to get the maths, right? So I now am looking along the 9 of diamonds row, and I see 4 columns. Now, if it's in black, that's from the face. If it's in red, that's from the top. Okay, because when you're looking at the atomic deck, let me just show you this for a minute. It's a red deck, so when you think red, you're thinking of the top. When it's a black card, you're thinking of the face, right? That kind of makes sense. So what I'm doing here, so you said 9 of diamonds at 28, yeah? So I'm looking here at 9 of diamonds. I'm just looking, there's 4 columns, and I'm looking which column 28 fits into, because it's showing me the range. And so I look in which column the 28 is in. And I see a 9 of diamonds is in the second column, and the lettering is red. So that tells me I need to deal from the top of the deck. And I see that the true number, so each column tells you the true number. In other words, the actual position of the card. So the true number is 31. So all I have to do is take 28 away from 31. What does that leave? 28 away from 31, Michael? 3. From the top of the deck. That's all I need to do. So then I can say, cup your hands together. Look, there's one deck of cards in here. You picked 28 and you picked the 9 of diamonds. Is that right?
Yeah.
And now I know all I've got to do is hit 3 doubles, and that's going to put the 28th card is going to be the 9 of diamonds. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 doubles. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. This is the 28th card. What did we say, Michael?
The 9 of diamonds.
Kaboom. And you've had the deck in that envelope from the very beginning. And then you just take the cards, you put them back inside the box, you put the box back inside the envelope, and you reset, ready to go again. That's my favourite way of using it. There's one other advantage of the crib. which I think it's worth noting about as well. The one other advantage of the crib is when you're using the notes input or the phone input or the website input, you know you need to change something, but you don't really know what you need to change. You just know you need to change something. So, but with this, because I can see the entire range of everything, I know what I need to change in order to bring it within range. So, for example, name a card, Michael.
Let's go for the 4 of spades.
And give me a really low number.
Let's go for 3.
So 4 of spades, I know it's not going to work if it's number 3. It's just not going to work. 4 of spades, it's not going to work. It would have worked at 1 because 4 of spades is on the face. But it's not going to work at 3. It's just not. However, I know the different ranges it will work. And I know, for example, if I get it to 14 to 27, it will work. I know it's going to work within the range of 14 to 27, that 4 of spades. So I could say, what number did you name? You named number 3. You named number 3 or something like that. I tell you what, let's go in a completely different direction. Let's add a number to it. So let's take that 3 and let's add a number and make it a really big number, a number over 10. What number do you want? Any number you want to.
14.
14. Okay, so now I know that's going to bring it within range. I know what I need to do to bring it within range. A lot of the time, I'll look at it and it's out of range by 1 or 2, and I'll say, I tell you what, let's make it even more impossible. You've picked a card, you've picked a number. Now I want you to make a decision. We're going to make that number even bigger, but you get to decide how big we name it. Do you want to add 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? How many do you want to add onto that number? It's totally your choice. I want to add 10. Okay. And I know immediately it's going to bring it within range. So the advantage of the crib is I know what I need to do with that card to bring it within range. So yeah, I'm sorry I spent so long talking about the crib. I'm very excited about it. People that have got this will be in your accounts now. But for anybody who said, oh, I don't like using it, doesn't use a phone, you don't need to use a phone now. However, there's a trade-off. There's a little bit of maths, but it's nothing difficult. It's very, very easy math. And immediately you'll be able to do it and you can walk out the house without your phone. Okay, so after filming this entire video that you're watching right now, I got a chance to sit down and chat over Zoom with Chris James. Now, a lot of you will probably know Chris James. He's kind of basically manages the American operations for Alakazam. He's just bought out 1 million products at Blackpool. He is a creative powerhouse. And I showed him the crib for the first time because he's a big fan of the Atomic deck. I showed him the crib and how it worked, and I gave him a couple of examples. And I showed him the envelope method that I showed you and basically told him how it worked. And then we spitballed a few different ideas, some of which are on the tutorial, some of which aren't. Chris had some amazing thoughts on this already, which shows the type of person he is. And I wanted to just share this with you just to show you how exciting this whole concept of having a crib with the Atomic deck is. So I'm going to roll this footage. It's part of a Zoom call between me and Chris, and listen to his ideas with it, especially when it comes to handwriting the crib and literally bringing it out as part of the presentation. Honestly, I think that's genius and takes the concept of, one of my favorite presentations with this is how you present it to a group. With the Unistats website, this allows you to do that same thing and blatantly have the crib in front of you and nobody will see a thing. It's amazing. So let's have a look at that footage before we move on to the next point. But the new crib is amazing. Have you seen the new crib?
No.
This is the new crib. Check this out, man. So name a card.
I've
got an envelope. By the way.
8 of hearts. Okay.
I got an envelope here. So,
okay, 8 of hearts.
8 of hearts. Are you sure?
Yep.
Cool. And name a number.
19.
Sure?
Yeah.
I now know if I do 2 doubles from the face, I'm going to get your card at position 19. No phone.
Oh, wow.
What? What was your card again?
8 of hearts.
19. Watch.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There it is, the 8 of hearts at position
Wow.
19. No phone, no nothing. You can have the
Wow.
deck, and you don't need to have it in an envelope. You can have the crib on the jokers. Let me do it again for you, and then I'll show you the crib. You put it in here,
Yep.
and I'm staring at the crib. So I say, look, I've got an envelope. Sealed in this envelope is a deck of cards. Name a card.
Nine of spades. Nine of spades.
The 9 of spades. And
Yep.
name a number.
14.
Which one?
14.
So I can tell you that 14 doesn't work. Now, this is the advantage of using the crib. 14 doesn't work, but I know 17 to 34 will.
Oh, that's so
I-
good, Craig.
So I can say to you, go higher. How many extra did you want to add to 14?
Let's do 7 more.
So 14, 7 more would be 21. So you want 21. Are you sure?
Yeah. Yep.
21 and the 9 of spades.
Yep.
21, the 9 of spades. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
I just know we need to do 13 doubles in the face, and I'm done. Watch. 13 doubles. So I turn it face up. I'm going to do my 13 doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What was the number again?
21.
13, so that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There is the 9 of spades. So not only am I seeing it immediately without a phone, I know what I need to do to bring it within range, which you can't do with a phone.
Wow, that is really good. So you know.
That is the crib right
Wow.
there. That is the crib. Check that out. That's the crib. So this is the side, this is the red side. You can put it on the jokers if you want to, but my favorite way of doing it is with an envelope. That's the black side,
Yep.
that's the red side. All I have to do is you name the color first of all, so red or black.
Yep.
So what color would you like?
Red.
Red. So I'm looking on this side. Name a heart or a diamond.
A diamond.
So I know I'm looking at the top part of this crib. Name a value. What diamond would you like?
8.
So I know that it's this line here, and I say name a number.
20.
20. So I know that 20 is not going to work.
Yep.
But I know if you go within 10 to 19, so if I go 10 to 18, it's going to be achievable from the face. I know that if you go 22 to 44, I'm going to be up top of the deck. So it's that simple.
Wow.
So you said 10 of diamonds. Go higher. Instead of 20, add some to it. What would you like to go for?
Let's do let's add 15.
15. So 15 added on to the 20 is 35. So we've got the 10 of diamonds at 35. I now know, just by looking at this, 9 doubles is going to get the 10 of diamonds at position 35.
Wow.
Look, I know, and I'm going from the top of the deck. How many doubles did I say? 9. So
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here's my 9 doubles. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and there's the 10 of diamonds.
Wow.
So one crib, there's no phone. I don't need a phone. I've completely eliminated the phone. And not only do I know what to do with one glance, but I know if it doesn't work, what I need to do to bring it within range. So I know I can say, just add a few, I can say to somebody else, okay, he's picked the 10 of diamonds, he's picked 20. Do me a favor, make that number higher or make that number lower. I know exactly what I need to do to bring it within range immediately. And I've made the crib on the envelope, but you can just stick it in the on the jokers. When Lloyd does it, he just has the two cribs on the back of the jokers. So he has the joker on
Wow.
the face like this, and he just says, "Okay, I'm going to put the deck down on the table. Do me a favor, not a joker, but something else. Name a color, red or black." So now I know which joker to look at, and I'm just holding them here, and I'm seeing the entire crib. Now name a suit. Now name a value. Now name a
Oh, yeah,
number.
yeah.
And I'm just looking at the crib, and I can then put the jokers to one side and say, "Brilliant," and I pick up the deck and deal. So there's no need anymore to use a phone if you don't want to. In fact, there's advantages to not using a phone.
Oh, this is better because you can if you can say they can say 14, and if you know 28's gonna hit, you can just say, okay, we're gonna do something crazy. We're just gonna we'll double your number, or if they say 11 and 15 is gonna hit, or if they say
Well,
11 and
how it
12,
works
so
is
whatever's gonna hit.
you'll know the range because of it. So, like, say for
Yes.
example, that 10 of diamonds that we talked about, that 10 of diamonds, and you named 20, and that wasn't going to work. Like I said, I know 9 to 18 will work off the face. I know 22 to 44 will work off the top of the deck, and I know 45 to 51 will work off the top of the deck as well. So I know what I need to do to bring them within range. So you could say
Yes.
double it. Do you want to double it? Do you want to triple it? Do you want to add a number? How many extra do you want to add? Boom. And
Yeah.
you can just get it with range straight away.
Oh my God, dude. You know what's so good too is if you see it, right, and you see whatever, you can even say like, okay, you just randomly thought of a number, but people think that I'm forcing a number through like, I'm making hand gestures and making you say a number. So, and if you know this is gonna work, you could say, um, you have a birthday, right? Birthday month. Let's just add that to it, so it's a totally random number. I love it, dude. I think it's
Birthday
better than
month
the
is
phone.
perfect. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's better.
Well, it means,
You
and
know
I
what? Go.
go on.
No, I
No,
think
no, go on.
this. Sorry, you go. You go.
No, no, no. I'm listening to you. Go on, man.
No, I think this may be bold. Just hear me out. But what if I know, oh man, I think this would work. What if you had the crib for anybody that's like, because you have it on the envelope, it's big, it's right in front of your face. But what if the crib was part of the fucking presentation and it was right there, and it was, this is the sheet that the university made of all the different percentages, and you just show it.
Look, I spoke to Lloyd about this. I said, because the crib just looks like a load of numbers, right? So
Yes.
I said, get an A4 piece of paper and do the presentation about, statistics and everything, and say, you've
Yes.
been working out what the chances are of a card being at a number. So you bring out the crib and you say, name a card, so they name a card, and you say, name a
Yep.
number, and they name a number. And you go, well, if it doesn't hit, you go, well, that's an 8% chance of that card appearing at that number.
Yes.
According to my statistics, let's change it to a different number and a different card. But if it's correct, you go, well, that is never named. You can use that. And then Rich Relish had the idea of having an A4 piece of paper and taking the crib and printing it onto the A4 piece of paper, lined piece of paper, so it's faint in the back. So you can see it,
Oh.
but they can't see it. So you bring a piece of paper out and you go, name a card, name a number, and you can see the crib through the actual. But I love what you just said, actually blatantly bringing the crib out. So you can do it surreptitiously, or you can bring it out and you can have it openly part of the presentation.
Craig, and you know how there's two pieces of paper? There's two. If you have the one on one side and the one on the other, this is so great because they're in front of you, right? So if you have to look at, you can just make it opposite. So if you have to look at the information that's on the one side, you hold it, you're reading it, and they're reading their side, and you're saying, look over here, but meanwhile you're getting the fucking read, and you put it down. So there's two sides to it. Their information's on their side and your information's on your side. So you're literally like just getting it while they're looking at it. And that even tricks them into thinking, well, even if the information was there, he wasn't even looking at it. I was
Yeah,
looking at it. So
that's a great idea.
yeah, I think you need to do, I think that blatant in the, like, you have it. It's a great little prop to have. You said you and Lloyd talked about it. That is a must, dude, because then you could say, and if you have horrible eyesight, you can make it as big as you want. This is just a sheet of numbers to them, and that you're doing a thing, you're doing like a little like a test or whatever, and the fucking crib is right in front of them, dude. That is so good. That's so good.
Well,
That's how I would do it.
it came about because people were saying they don't want to use the phone. So George and Lloyd and me and Rich and Josh, we sat down, mainly George, to be honest. We sat down and we were like, right, okay, let's see if there's a way of doing it without the phone. And frankly, it's easier. It's
Yeah.
very simple math. All I have to do is look up the card, look up, and then when you give me the number, I look at the various different ranges it's in. And if it's in the range, I just take the number you gave me away from the highest number in the range. And then that will
Yeah.
tell me the amount of doubles. And if it's red, you see there's red and there's black numbers.
Yeah.
If it's red, it's from the top of the deck, because when you're looking at the top of the deck, you see a red back. If it's black, it's from the face, because when you look at the face of the deck, you see a 4 of spades.
I love it, dude. I think it's that's how I would do it, and I would do it with the prop of having it right out in front. I would do it. I love when the magic is something that they can hold, and there's like something that they can do and look at, and it's just like with will to read. You have the thing. It's the answers. The thing is right in front of them, but they only look at what they're looking at. So it's not like they're going to go through. There's no way they would ever figure out the crib ever.
Well, it's like the phone. It's like the phone. It's like even if you bought it out as a crib and you said it's your workings out and stuff, even if you wrote it, even if you took the crib and handwritten it on a piece of A4 paper as if it's the scribblings of a madman, and you're trying to, and you hand this out and you bring this out and it's all folded up and crumpled in your pocket, and you go,
yes,
I've been working on cracking the code and I think I've got it. And you bring up this scrambled up piece of paper. Even if they think that it's got something to do with the method, which they won't, but even if they do, how is that rearranging the order of the deck? It's not.
No.
You're showing them this piece of paper that you've handwritten loads of information on, and you're asking them for a number and a card. You can blatantly say to them, look, do these numbers mean anything to you? No, they don't. But you know what? That tells me, believe it or not, you got that bang on. You got that bang on. Let me show you.
I love it.
Boom.
You need to talk about the printing, or even, I love what you just said. You don't even have to. Everyone knows how to read their own handwriting. You can sit there for 15 minutes and make this up yourself with your own handwriting. And I love the idea of coming out and it's crumpled and it's like this thing and you're trying to figure it out. And you can literally write the crib with your own handwriting and have it blatantly in front of them. That is that you need to. Don't forget about that. Put that on there, because people will die for that.
With your permission, I might include this conversation about the crib in the video.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Great, because
I think it's great.
That'd be awesome, Chris. It really would, because I'm excited about this. So many people have said, I wouldn't use it because of a phone. I never thought a phone was an issue, but a lot of people have had an issue with it. So fair enough. This solves the problem completely.
Yeah, I like it better than the phone. That's when you first showed it. It was I knew that I would be doing it that way over the phone. People might like the phone version better, but like we were just saying, I just like that it's right there in front of them. It's you can hide it and go through, and maybe you have, like me with my brain, when I see a bunch of numbers, I get all confused, I get whatever. But if it's right there in front, I can have time to look at it while they're looking at the other side, or especially if it's my handwriting.
If you've handwritten it out, they're not going to see anything. You can literally, like you say, you can just pull out this crumpled up piece of paper, show it them, and go, "You're not going to believe this. You're really not going to believe this." But I think I've cracked the code. Multi-millions of combinations with the deck of cards. But I think I've been working on this for a long time. This one piece of paper cracks the code. Name a card, name a number. You can even blatantly say, right, that's the card. And this string of numbers, this tells me, you're not going to believe it. Your card is at that position in the deck. You don't believe
it's so good.
Let me show you.
That's so good. I've never even heard. I don't know as much. I won't say I've never seen like, but personally, I've never seen where the crib is blatantly out in front of them like that.
No.
There's got to be a trick, and you never seen. I've never seen it, but I don't know a bunch of those type of tricks. But you're literally showing the crib. I love stuff like that. I love when you're being bold like that because the answer is right in front of them. You're not hiding. You're not trying to read anything, like squinting. I mean, you are because you're showing them what you've written. So you are looking and doing whatever, but you're getting the information. Oh, it's so good. That's the way to do atomic deck, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Book closed.
I think a
That's
lot of
what I
people,
feel like.
I think a lot of people are going to be excited about the crib. I really do.
Yeah, get your wife or your husband or your kid to write it up if you don't have the best handwriting, or write your own, do your own handwriting, or type it up, or make it into a thing. But it makes total sense, dude. You're bringing out a deck of cards. You're already weird, like because these days decks of cards aren't even popular in people's houses anymore, like they used to be back when like we were growing up. So even just a deck of cards is like, okay, cool. Like it's not something like, oh, I have that in my top drawer anymore. So there's your reason of like, I'm obsessed with this. I am obsessed. You don't even have to say you're a freaking magician if you don't. You could just say, I am obsessed with numbers. I'm obsessed with this. I think I've cracked it. Can you help me out? Look at this. It's all ruffled and just messed up. And you can say, here it is, do that. And then you can
And if
even at
you
the
fold
end,
up the card, and if you fold up that piece of paper, you could slip it inside the box if you wanted to. So you can literally
yes,
take the cards out of the box and say, I got a piece of paper in here. You're not going to believe what this is. You're
yes.
not going to believe what this is. I spent months working on this. It just looks like random cards and numbers, but I'm telling you right now, this cracks the code.
Yeah. Oh, and if it's your own handwriting, you can even act like you're marking it up at the end, like you're taking a note, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tick.
Yeah, you can say, oh, oh, I got to change that for sure.
Well, you can put a
Eight
little
point.
tally chart at the bottom of every time it works, and you can play it off as, this has rarely worked, but I think, and then you can have a little tally chart. Yep, that's another one. Whatever.
Oh, yes. You can have a tally chart of how many times it's worked and then how many times it hasn't. And the one that has it can be like, and then you could say like, maybe you'll be the one. Oh, dude, it's so good.
Oh no, that's sick. Yeah, yeah. So at the bottom of the piece of paper, you've got right and wrong. So if they name a
yes.
card and a number, and you know it's not going to work, you go, nah,
Yeah.
that's not going to work. Tick
Yes.
the wrong. Give me a different card or number, or change the number. This one, yeah, that works. That's still
Yeah.
impossible. That's still fucking impossible.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
And then you just pick it up and deal. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, that is so good. People are gonna freak over this. I'm telling you, man. I think that's the way to do it. And if you want to do the phone, you can do the phone. But yeah, wow, dude, that's brilliant, Craig.
Well,
I gotta
let's
say,
pay
that's
for it.
good.
It's mainly George.
Yeah. Well, whoever, George, I don't. All of it combined like this is really the best thing. The best version of it, I think, personally. You know, it gives them all a thing. If yeah, phone sites or something doesn't work, or you don't have your phone, or I don't know. I like something about the analog style of the piece of paper, and the like you're this mad genius and this paper's crumpled and you're like it's driving you crazy, and um oh my God, it's so perfect, dude. It's so perfect. And the numbers on there, even though it's right in front of them, if somebody is into numbers, the numbers will even make sense to them. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, 9%. So it works. Oh, it's so good. It's the perfect way to do atomic deck, in my opinion.
Okay, so the next one is it uses thin cards. Now, this is one of the biggest things that people have had an issue with, that it uses thin cards. And I really don't understand this. And Sean Devine, and we're going to talk about Sean in a minute. I've got no problem with Sean. I want to get him as an interview on my channel. I think Sean's a great guy. I've never had a problem with his review. I had a problem with the people leaving the comments below the review, but I didn't have a problem with Sean at all. However, one thing that Sean did say, and it's kind of catapulted at that point, is he said that the atomic deck was trash because it used thin cards, which I didn't really understand when he said it. And I'm talking about the original review. For those of you that don't know, Sean Devine left a review, and then put another video up later. We'll talk about that later on. But he said that, you know, the cards. One of the biggest problems that he had with the trick is that the cards were super thin, and because the cards were super thin, it was basically trash. And he proved this in a couple of different ways. And the first way, and I don't want to wreck my atomic deck, so I'm not going to do this, but the first way he proved it was by sort of pushing off the cards and saying, well, you know, these cards are so thin, they're going to break. And he pushed the cards off and he buckled the deck, and the cards were just like folding in on themselves. I've got another deck here. Because the thing is, and a lot of other people have said that same thing, I can do that with any deck. I can do that with any deck and cause that deck to wreck. I'm wrecking a blank deck here, which is no good. But, you know, you can do that with any... If you're heavy-handed with the deck of cards, it doesn't matter whether they're thin or not, you're going to have that card wreck. And then he took one of the thin cards and he crumpled it, and he said, how is this going to fool anybody? Well, you can take any card and crumple it. It doesn't have to be... These are bicycles. These are just normal bicycle cards. And look, I'm just crumpling it up. I'm crumpling it up. That's cardboard. That's how this works. Like... And then he kind of shook the card round and said, look, you know, should a card look like this? Should a card look like this? But, like, okay, so it's thin, but the whole point is you don't use the deck like that. If you bring out a deck of cards and you start waving them around and treating them like that, yeah, they're going to get wrecked. But that's the same with any gimmick deck. Any gimmick deck at all that you have. If you treat it like that, the cards are going to get wrecked. Any deck, period. And you know what? Genuinely, I have a lot of respect for Sean Devine, and I will talk about him a little bit later on, because I know he gets a lot of flack for doing tutorials, as I do, and it's not easy being a content creator. And I genuinely have a lot of respect for him. You know, the thing is, I don't know if he's used thin cards before, but he said that he was disappointed because the deck was a thin deck. And one of the reasons this trick wouldn't work is because it used thin cards. And Eric Tate was in the comments in the original review video, and he said, but, you know, what about double deckers? They're thin. And it was kind of like, well, yeah, but I know what I'm getting when you get a double decker, which doesn't make much sense to me, because here's the thing. There's loads of tricks that use thin cards that you don't find out ahead of time they're thin cards until you buy the trick. Trilogy Extreme by Alakazam, one of the best-selling tricks of all time. That uses thin cards. Phil Plus uses thin cards. The Destiny deck, which got Trick of the Year at the Magic Cafe, the same place that's actually been ripping into me for using thin cards, they gave the Trick of the Year to Destiny deck a couple of years ago that uses thin cards. Out of Sight, Out of Mind by Joshua J. Josh fooled Penn and Teller with thin cards with Out of Sight, Out of Mind. You can get them from Vanishing Ink. None of those tricks have on the ad copy, by the way, these cards are thin. You open the trick and you buy the trick and you learn that the cards are thin, and then you actually practice the trick and you do the trick. So I don't see why thin cards is offending so many people. I don't know if the people that are leaving the comments on YouTube have experience using thin cards or not, but it's a standard magician's prop that a lot of magicians use, and some of the best card tricks ever created, some of the best creators of all time, even people like Danny D. Ortiz, that's incredible at sleight of hand, they've marketed tricks with thin cards. They are, look at Colin Cloud. Colin Cloud brought out Ocean last year. He's a Vegas headliner, and one of his tricks uses thin cards. There's absolutely, you know, you can make, as I say, if you just take the deck out and you don't watch the tutorial or whatever, and you just look at the deck and you're like, oh, these are thin cards, oh, they stick together. I mean, oh, maybe, but, you know, I've seen so many people posting about, oh, this trick is trash because they're thin cards. But then you see people posting about tricks that do use thin cards, and it's totally not an issue. So I don't get why, honestly, I'm more than happy for people. I'm more than happy for people to, like educate me on this, but I don't understand why thin cards are okay in certain effects, but they're not okay in this effect. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, and you've seen videos of me giving the cards out to spectators and having a look through them. Laymen don't see anything. They just spread through the cards and they see a deck of cards. So, you know, a lot of people are saying this thin card thing. We've been very open and upfront from the very beginning that they use thin cards. But I don't know of any magic trick that's ever been published that's openly said the method on the product. It hasn't gone, by the way, this trick uses thin cards. If you do not like thin cards, please do not buy this trick. That's just a method. I don't really understand. And you know, when Sean did the review, one of the things that really confused me was the fact that he said, hey, he watched Sean do it, he watched Lloyd do it, and he was fooled, and he bought it off the back of Lloyd fooling him when he did the trick to Kaylee. And when he bought it and he opened up the deck, he thought it was trash. And it's like, well, hang on, it fooled you, right? It fooled you, so give it a chance, try it out. You know, it will work. You know, but you know, it's cool. We'll get to the reviews later on. But honestly, when it comes to thin cards, I don't understand why people have got an issue with it. I just don't understand. So the next one is the deck is badly made. And I've kind of addressed this with the thin cards. The deck's not badly made. These are very, very similar to double deckers. There's virtually no difference in terms of the card stock. They're actually by the Legends Playing Card Company. They're not cheap cards. They're super thin, obviously, because they have to be. There's 104 cards here. That's how the trick works. But they're not badly made. I mean, I've been using the same deck for 2 years. This deck of cards will last you a very, very long time. Yes, if you manhandle the deck and crumple a card up and then squeeze the deck, it's going to get destroyed a lot quicker, but so will any deck. This is a very well-made deck of cards, and as long as you treat it as a, you know, special gimmick deck and you don't throw it around and you don't take cards off the face and crumple it, then you're going to be absolutely fine. Okay, so the next thing that people say an awful lot is the trick is trash because it's not on bicycle playing cards. Which, again, yeah, it's not on bicycle playing cards, but that's because you can't do this type of printing and you can't do the type of... they don't make thin cards. You can't do what we needed to do to make this trick work with a bicycle deck. But so many people have said, it's trash because you don't use a bicycle deck. Well, again, Destiny deck by Card Shark, which won Trick of the Year, that's on Phoenix back designs. Most of the tricks that Card Shark are going to bring out that are amazing are Phoenix back design. Look at Alakazam. They never use bicycle playing cards, ever. When you see an Alakazam trick deck, it ain't going to be a bicycle playing card. Look at the latest one that they brought out with Eric Stevens. It's not a bicycle playing card deck. My favourite deck of cards to use when I'm out gigging is the Elysian Duets by Phil Smith. I've said this again. It's my favourite marked deck to use. A lot of people use Night Flights by Steve Della, because, again, that's a great marked deck of cards. Both Phil and Steve are great at designing marked cards. None of these are bicycle. I don't see a problem. Like, it's not... I don't use this as anything other than a stand-up piece. Not stand-up piece, a standalone piece. So I'll do it on stage sometimes. I'll do it close-up sometimes, but this will like be the end of my close-up. So I'll be like, right, okay, I'm going to do one last thing for you, and I'll bring this deck out. And I've probably done something else before that that's non-card related. And if I'm using a regular deck of cards, I'm not going to be using this. So I don't see... Yeah, it uses bicycle playing cards, but so it doesn't use bicycle playing cards, but so many other tricks don't. So again, it comes back to the level of hate in the comments. I don't see why that is such an issue when you don't see this level of thing against any other deck of cards that aren't a bicycle deck. It's not a bicycle deck. If that's the thing for you, then don't buy it. But don't assume it's trash because it doesn't use a bicycle rider back design. That's insane. Okay, so let's very briefly talk about Sean. And look, very quickly, I'm going to talk about Sean Devine. I'm going to say 3 things. First of all, for people that aren't aware of what happened, Sean put a review up of the Atomic deck, and it was about a 10-minute review, and he absolutely trashed it. He said it wasn't fit for purpose. It's not designed to work in the real world. He exposed the method on camera. He screwed up the cards. He basically just, it was brutal. As a creator, it was brutal. Now, I will absolutely say on camera, he is entitled to his opinion. He is absolutely entitled to his opinion. It was very, very brutal. I disagreed with a lot of what he said. My main problem was the fact that because of what he said, it caused a lot of people to go off in the comments about how I'm the worst person in the world. That has now progressed and got worse and worse, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But then a couple of days later, he put another video up, part 2, apologizing for his initial review and saying, hey, I was having a bad day. I was too harsh on it. I don't like the atomic deck, but, you know, I was a bit too harsh. And then went on and talked about various different tricks that I've produced that he does like, which is very, very nice. And he didn't need to do that. He absolutely 100% didn't need to do that. I have, you know, when I saw the original review, I thought it was brutal. I was upset, but I put a very nice comment in the comments. I went on Facebook where he posted in a particular Facebook group. I put, you know, the same comment in there, you know, thanking him for the review, wishing him success with his channel. He didn't need to apologize for the review at all. He didn't need to do that. But as you know, he felt like he needed to. That's absolutely fine. He didn't need to apologize in any way, shape, or form. It's his opinion. I felt his opinion was wrong, but it is his opinion. And then when he put up the second video, you know, basically saying, look, I was having a bad day. I'm really sorry. First of all, I put another comment up saying you didn't need to apologize. Second of all, I'd say I asked him if he'd like to do an interview on the channel because I would love to interview him. I didn't know about Sean beforehand. But as a result of finding out about his channel, I've become a fan. I think that he puts things across very clearly, and he's doing tutorials on the right stuff, and he's going into the history of it as well. I'm a fan, and I want to interview him because this is the sort of person that I think we should highlight in this industry. The one thing I want to draw exception to is not about Sean. In the second video, the amount of comments that people said saying, you shouldn't have to apologize, Sean. It was an honest review. I can't believe this. Nobody can say anything negative about Craig Petty. A couple of hundred comments saying, oh, you've been strong-armed. Oh, it feels like someone had a gun to your head. Why did you apologize? You shouldn't have apologized. It was an honest review. The trick is trash. Why are you now going back on this? For all those people that said that, I want to ask you a question, because in that apology video, there's something that stood out to me that I think a lot of people missed. And I'm going to play that for you right now. Please listen to this. I'm going to play you like 15, 20 seconds of the apology video that Sean makes.
I should have in the video in my review said it doesn't work for me. And that alone, I should have watched the videos, the explanation videos on the atomic deck itself. But like I said, I was having a bad day. Opened the box, looked at the cards, and immediately I was just pissed off the whole day about it. And yeah.
Now,
so I don't know
what Sean just said there is, I was having a bad day. I opened up the atomic deck, and I looked at the cards, and it pissed me off. I should have watched the tutorials and the explanations, but I didn't. Instead, I just filmed the review. That's what he said, right? That's what he said. He said he didn't watch the tutorial. He didn't watch the explanation videos. Basically, he saw Lloyd perform this, got fooled, bought it, looked through. It's a thin deck, and he decided to do a review trashing it because they're thin cards. For everybody that went into that video, and I want you to be honest with me right now, for everybody that went into that video saying it was an honest review, you shouldn't have to apologize. And I agree, by the way, but if it's an honest review, you shouldn't have to apologize. The trick is trash. You highlighted it was trash. Do you think it's right that Sean did a full review trashing the trick, trashing the product, literally crumpling it up on camera? Do you think that's right when he didn't even watch the tutorial? In his own words, he didn't watch the tutorial. He didn't watch the explanations. He made that video after just opening up the box without seeing the stuff by Pete Turner, without seeing why the thin cards work the way they do, without seeing why they stick together, what the printing what the process is, without knowing how the phone input works, without knowing any of that, he opened up the trick, he looked at the cards, and then he trashed them on camera. Honestly, be honest with me. Anybody who put some hate into the comments, be honest with me. If that was your product and somebody trashed it without even looking at the tutorial, would you be happy with that? Be honest with me. Because I'm a reviewer. I've been reviewing products more than most people in this industry. I was the first YouTube reviewer on the Wizard Product Review with David Penn. I have been reviewing products now for about 20 odd years. And every single product I review, and yeah, people are right. People have said it in the comments. I trash certain products. I talk badly about certain tricks. I'm very honest about that. Tricks I don't like, I will absolutely go after. But you know what? I've watched the tutorial, and you know I've watched the tutorial because either me or Ryland are performing the trick on camera. We make a big deal of learning every single trick. As much as I love Sean, and I do love Sean, and as much as I love his channel, and I do love his channel, and as much as I want to interview him, and I do want to interview him, if I had to take exception to one thing, it would be that as a magic reviewer, you have to watch the tutorial. It is absolutely wrong to go and trash a product without watching all of the training material, especially to rip it up and basically say this isn't fit for purpose without watching it. So everybody who put the hate in, let me ask you a question. If it was your trick and you were the person that released that trick and you saw a review like that and then you found out that the person who did the review never even watched the training stuff that came with it and just literally opened up the box and decided to trash it, would you be happy with that? Is that acceptable? You tell me. Okay, so the next point is people are saying the sticky wears off. It's chemicals. Craig lied to us. Murphy's lied to us. It's not a revolutionary printing principle. It's roughing fluid. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've been using the same deck for 2 years. Let me explain what's happening here, because you are right. We are correct. There are a few people that are experiencing their cards losing adhesion. So this is a double, right? This is a double. I'm going to do an exposure video on this at some point next week, but these are all doubles, right? These are all double. Every single one of these is a double. And some people are finding then what's happening is it's hard to push over a double. The cards aren't sticking like they should do, and they're thinking, well, the chemicals have come off on the cards, which they can't because there are no chemicals on the cards in the first place. There's no roughing spray put on these cards before, after, or during. So how is this happening? Well, it's very, very simple. Basically, you have, so what happens is you've got dirt and natural grease on your fingers. So if you're practicing this a lot or you're doing it a lot, and that's what a lot of people do when they first get the atomic deck, it feels like real magic. Because they're literally, you can pick up a deck, you can pick up, name a card, name a number, and it's that number. And I've spoken to so many people that have spent like all night doing it and blowing their mind that every card that they're thinking of is appearing at every number they're thinking of. It's almost like real magic. I mean, 70% of the time, 73% of the time, it is. But what's happening is that grease is transferring itself onto these cards. And then what's happening, that grease is causing these cards to be dirty. Or, you know, I've spoken to a few people where they've got dirt on the cards. Joshua Riley, when he first did this, he dropped the cards on the floor, picked them up, put them back in order, but then there were dirt on the cards, and he was finding the doubles weren't coming off as well as they were when he first started. Right, you don't need to put more roughing fluid on. I'll talk about that in a second. However, there's 3 ways to fix this. The first way is to just leave them. You know, if it's the grease and not dirt, if it's the grease, if you just leave them overnight in the box, when you come back to them in the morning, they'll probably be as good as new and they'll be absolutely fine. However, if they're dirty, here's what you do. And we've tried this. We actually threw the cards all over the floor, picked them up, and we tried this, and this works brilliantly. Take a small drop of water and a damp sponge, and very, very carefully, just wipe the surface of the 2 cards that need to stick together. Just wipe the surface of the 2 cards. Don't push down. It's a thin card. You don't want to wreck it. But just a bit of water, a little bit of sponge, a little bit of cloth, wipe it down. You're getting rid of the dirt. You leave that to dry, and then when you put it back, it's going to be as good as new. That's how you know it's not chemicals, because you can wipe the dirt off this and it will stick together. You take yourself a rough deck, go and get yourself your invisible deck, damp the card down and see if it'll stick together again. It won't. This will, because you're just removing the dirt. So, a few people have said, I've been advised to use roughing fluid. No, here's the thing. There's some people that, I spoke to somebody on Zoom the other day, and I've been Zooming with a few people about this that have been having issues. And I spoke to somebody on Zoom, and they're very new into magic. And they were nervous about dealing a double. Like these are doubles. I don't feel nervous about it at all because I've been doing this a long time. But if you are feeling nervous about dealing a double, then you can get a bit of roughing fluid. I would get a roughing stick. You don't need to cover the whole card, just a bit of a roughing stick. Very carefully and gently rough the surface of the card. What that's going to do is it's going to give it extra adhesion. Now, you don't need that extra adhesion, but it's there if you do want it. I would just rough the middle of the card here and here. And if you do that extra adhesion, that will make it even more secure. What you're doing is it's the equivalent of taking a rough deck and spraying more roughed cards, more roughing on it. Now, you don't need to do that because the only time it will ever lose adhesion is if they're dirty. But if you want more stick, if you're a little bit concerned, use a roughing stick, or you can literally put plastic dip on all the cards if you want to. So you can take each double, like this and like this, put a piece of paper here and there, so that you're just spraying the center of the cards. And you can, well, it'll be this way, like this. And then you can create yourself a little bit more adhesion. To be clear, that's not what the problem is. The only reason to use roughing spray, the only reason to use a roughing stick, the only reason to use plasti dip is if you don't feel confident and you want a bit more stick in your deck. And if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. It's very easy to do that. But you don't need to. The natural adhesive qualities of these, and the problem is we've only had this deck out for a week. It came out last Tuesday. So people have only been playing around with it for a week and they're expecting miracles immediately. The reason I can deal these doubles so well, and again, this deck is 2 years old and people saw me doing this at Blackpool. The reason I can deal these doubles so well is because I've been doing it a long time and I know the exact technique. When I first started, I was like this. Oh, shit. Because it's practice, right? I'm sorry, but it's practice. If you don't practice it, they're going to split like that. But if you do it right, they won't. So, yeah, in terms of the sticky wears off, no, it doesn't. Do you need to clean the cards sometimes? Yes. Can you put extra sticky on there to make them even more adhesive? Yes, but you don't need to. Okay, I wanted to insert in here just one more point. I wanted to address one more thing. And I'm filming this after the main video has been filmed. So I filmed the main video on the Thursday. I'm now filming this on the Friday. And by the time you see this, it'll be the Friday evening. And in that time, David from Unbiased Magic Reviews has dropped his review. And I was expecting it. I knew it was coming. He's not particularly complimentary about the Atomic Deck. In fact, he actually... there were some good points that he made, actually. I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, he did say it was the worst trick of 2026 25 so far. Although we're only in February, so maybe maybe somebody can beat me to the worst trick of the year. I don't know. But in all seriousness, look, I've got nothing against David. We've had our disagreements and our arguments back and forth a few times over the years. And I've gone out of my way recently to be very, very respectful to him. And this is going to continue now. I know there's going to be people in the comments that are going to say, Craig's a crybaby. You can't let people have their say. And I'm more than happy with David to have his say. And you know what? He made some, you could tell he'd spent a lot of time on the video. He'd spent a lot of time on the review. He had certain positives to say, which was very nice of him. He had certain negatives to say as well. I just want to address a couple of points that he made in the video. Just to put it across from my point of view, because I don't think David, I don't think he understood kind of where I am. So it might be worth mentioning this quickly. So first of all, there were a few points that he made, but a few of the main ones that he made. The first one was about the statistics and about the maths, and I say it's 70%, and he says, no, we both agree it's 70% if raw mathematics, but I say it's more like 10%, and he was going through all the data, and he said, well, actually, it's a 20% fail rate. Fair enough. I don't know. I haven't gone through all the statistics. That's something that other people do. I'm a bit stupid when it comes to that. If he's saying it's 20%, I'm going to completely believe him. That's not the point, though. Here's the point. The point is, yeah, there's 20% of the time, according to David's findings, there's 20% of the time where, and he refers to it, there's 20% of the time when the trick won't work, or the trick will go wrong, or the trick will miss. I don't look at it like that. I look at it as there's 20% of the time where I need to change somebody's choices at some point or another. And when you actually think about it, that's actually a phenomenal thing, that I can take a deck of cards, I can put it on the table, and 80% of the time, with the correct presentation, that card is going to be at that position in the deck. I think that's great. Now, 20%, it's not that it's not working at 20%, it's not a fail rate. At 20%, that's where you need to change something in order to bring it into line. And you're going to know that before the spectator knows that. Now, one thing that David did is he played a little montage of me performing at Blackpool. And he played a montage of videos of me having to reframe people once, twice, to kind of prove his point that a lot of the time this will go wrong. I didn't think that was fair, honestly, because I could do it the other way. I could put a 1 hour montage now of me performing and having it hit every single time. I've been very open about the fact that sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't. I don't see the point of actually, you know, you went through the statistics, great, 20% of the time you have to reframe. I don't see the point of showing multiple videos over and over again of me performing the trick and having to reframe. I've said that that's going to happen. And one thing about Blackpool, I wasn't very well at Blackpool at all. I was dosed up and cold and flu. I was very, very tired. I think you can tell. Anybody who knows me can tell in those videos I'm tired. It wasn't my best perform. I was losing my voice. I definitely wasn't performing it to the best of my ability. You know, and you know, I've performed better than that. Absolutely, I've performed better than that. And the other thing is, unless you've been on a dealer stand, you don't know this, but you're just demming over and over and over and over and over again. And I was on the Penguin stand most of the time. They sold out the atomic decks by, I think, 11 o'clock on the Friday. I could have just stopped performing it and demming it, but I didn't. I carried on doing it because people kept wanting to see it. And every single time somebody asked to see it, I did. And I can tell you a ton of times that it just hit every single time. Now, sometimes it missed. That's absolutely fine. But I was very tired. I was very ill. I wasn't very well at all. It definitely wasn't my best performance. But you can still see that, like, I don't see why you had to put a montage of videos of it going, well, not going wrong. At no point was there a montage. At no point in that montage was it not successful. But a couple of times you had to reframe it, right? I don't get that. And the other thing is, honestly, a lot of the time when I'm performing it to a group of people, I'll do what we talk about on the tutorial that you mentioned as well. I'll get a group of people to either take out their phones and go onto the Unistats website, which is my preferred way to do it. Like you said, in a group of people, even David said this, in a group of people, having a bunch of people go on their phones is great because you don't even know the card or the number. Or I'll do what the Notes app is meant to do, which is, hey, you give me a card and a number, you give me a card and a number, you give me a card and a number, and then I'll just, you know, I'll know which ones of those will work and I'll push them towards one of those combinations. But you don't have time to do that when you're on a dealer stand because you've got somebody there wanting me to sign a book. I've got somebody there wanting me to do cheater chips. I've got somebody there wanting me to do this. I've got somebody here, hey, can you show me the marks on the heroes and villains deck? I just need to get through the dem very, very quickly. Demming at a dealer stand is a completely different thing to demming to a group of people. When you're performing in a real life situation and you're performing to real people, it's a very different thing to at a dealer stand where you go, right, okay, name a card, name a number, boom, 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 boom. It's a different thing. But even still, yeah, I don't understand why, you know, you made your point. Great, it's 20%. I don't think that's a bad thing, actually. I think that's amazing that we were able to make a deck of cards that 80% of the time you can put it on the table and you just deal. I didn't see the need for the montage. The other thing that you commented on is sometimes you have to deal it face up Yeah, apparently I got the statistic wrong on that. I'll take your count on that. I honestly don't care whether it's face up or face down. I really don't. If you watch and David actually mentioned this. If you watch the stuff with Pete Turner, you'll see how to completely justify having the deck face up or face down. And it is completely justifiable. So I don't really care whether it's face up or face down. It makes no difference. Thanks for letting me know that. The other thing is, if you don't, and you'll have seen this with what me and Chris James talked about, but the thing about the crib method, which obviously you weren't aware of when you filmed your tutorial, so I'm not going to even mention anything about the phone because that's a moot point now. But one thing that with the crib method is, if you're using the crib, you're instantly going to know what you need to do to bring them within range. And Chris's idea was genius. So if you're looking at the crib and you know you're out of range, but you know pushing it up will get it within range, you can just say to them, look, here's what I want you to do. I don't know when you were born, give me your month, and we'll add that to whatever number you gave me. That way we'll make it even more personal. I've never met you before. What's your month? August, right? That's 8, yeah? So we'll add 8 to your number 12. That brings us to 20. And I'll know by looking at the crib exactly what I need to do to bring it within range. And that's the beautiful thing of using the crib over the phone. I know what I need to do to bring it within range, and I can just do that immediately. And the month thing that Chris suggested is genius. So that's on the number thing. I think there were 2 main other points. There's the phone thing, but we obviously, it's not important now because there's a crib, right? There was the point that David made about the fact that sometimes you're going to be left with more cards in your hand than you should be, and that can happen. That can happen sometimes. Somebody posted on Magicians Only at some point in the last day or two. I've spoken to so many different people recently. That he was left with 16 cards in his hand. He dealt to 48 or something. He was supposed to have 4 cards left, and he actually had 16, and he said this is a major problem. He was very, very angry with it. Well, if we take 16 cards off, because they're going to come off in pairs, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so if we take 16 cards off, this is the scenario that he was talking about. We're left with 16 cards in the hand instead of 4. The thing you need to understand, first of all, is those aren't 16 cards. We're dealing with thin cards here. So there's actually 8 cards here instead of 4. Not because it doesn't look like 16, it looks like 8. And the spectators don't know if there's a joker in the deck or not, or 2 jokers in the deck. So in essence, there might be a joker in the deck, in which case there's not, if you're meant to have 4 cards left here and there's 2 jokers in the deck, that could be 16. That could be 6 cards, and it looks like 8. And unless you use cards all of the time, you're not really going to be able to tell how many cards there are there. If you're expecting 6 and there's 8, that's really not too much of an issue, to be perfectly honest. That's not really too much of a problem. But, occasionally you are going to be left with more cards in your hand than you need to. And it's totally not an issue. There's 4 ways to deal with this, because David brought up the points, it's worth me addressing it. There's 4 ways to deal with this. And the first way to deal with it is to just have them pick a different number. Especially with the crib. If they pick a high number, you know what you need to do to bring them within range. So you can say, look, I tell you what, take your date of your day of your birth date and minus that off, and you'll know immediately. You'll know what is it? It's 20. Okay, let's take that off. And you'll know that it's within range, which is great. The crib is wonderful. So the first thing is you can reframe their number if you want to, which is perfect. Now the second thing that you can do is what I do with this, and I'll show you a video of this in a second. And the second thing I do with this is, let's say I know I'm going to have a few cards left in my hand, and I'm dealing here. I'm just bringing this packet back into my hand so that it's coming back a little bit into a deeper mechanics grip. So no one's looking here, and then I've dealt that last card, boom, and it would be here like this. I've dealt that last card, 9 of clubs, and I just pick everything up and I put it back together and I put it in their hands, or I spread it out and I put it on the table. Because everyone's attention's here where you're dealing, it's not in your hand. Now eventually, that's how direction of attention works. Eventually they'll look back at your hand, but at that point you can just reassemble the deck. It's totally not an issue. So that's the second way you can do it. The third way you can do it is if you know you're going to have a lot of cards left, and you'll know from what you need to do if you're going to have a lot of cards left. you can just cop off the bottom part of the deck. And as I go putting the box away, I can just get rid of the cards. That's absolutely fine. And then you're going to be left with, you know, approximately the correct amount. That's something you can, I wouldn't bother, but that's something else you can do. And the other thing that you can do if you want to is, let's say I've dealt half of the cards face up like this. And I've got to 26. And their numbers, because this is only a problem with the high numbers. So let's say their number's 48. You say 26. Do you see your card yet? No, you don't. Okay, 26 cards left. Let's deal the next 26. And I'll put them in, and I deal again onto the table. And then it becomes totally not a problem. And the reset is literally just to go to the face-up card and turn face-up there. So there's lots of ways of dealing with the problem, and we addressed this on the tutorial. And I think a lot of the time, not David, because David is very meticulous, but a lot of the time when people talk about issues like this, they don't actually, they've either not got the trick, or they've not got the tutorial, or they've not looked at the tutorial, a little bit like Sean. But that's not the case with you, David. I know you're very meticulous, but just in case, you raised it as an issue, so allow me to explain what I think is the best way to deal with that. But as I say, the absolute best way to do it is to not even worry about it. So I'm going to play you a video now. And it's a video of me performing this to 3 girls outside. I believe this is part of the trailer. I think part of this footage went on the trailer. And you can see that I'm in that situation. I'm dealing into someone's hands. So I'm dealing the cards into someone's hands. And you can see that I'm going to end up with a lot of cards left over than there should be there. And I want you to notice what I'm doing. This was posted by Murphy's online, and somebody said, oh, the camera zooms in. The camera does not zoom in. My hand, when I realise I'm going to have lots of cards left over, my hand drops out of frame. So it becomes unimportant. You know, there's something called the frame of action, everything inside the frame of action. It's what people are interested in, right? You take something outside of the frame of action, it almost becomes invisible. So the focus is on me dealing the cards into the spectator's hands. I'm dropping my hand slightly out the frame of action. So when that last card hits and they realise it's their card, you can see that nobody's looking over here, everyone's looking there, which is why I advocate dealing into the spectator's hands as well. And then you can see me picking up the cards and putting them back onto the, you can see me putting them back together. The other thing is, you notice I do the website method with this, because I've got 3 people. I get all 3 of them to go on their phones, and I get them to go into Unistats. That's still my favourite presentation, because I know with 3 people, like David pointed out in his review, you're almost never going to get a miss with 3 people. And you can see that in this performance. So let's have a look at this performance. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about and how to deal with this issue that David talks about.
Magic.
That was magic.
What the hell?
Should we try one last thing?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to get everybody involved here.
Back into
Okay.
the mountains.
So back into the man purse. As we're talking playing cards, I'll bring out a deck of playing
Oh, I
cards.
love cards.
Okay. And can you hold your hand out for me? Yeah. Like a table. Perfect. I'm going to put those cards there. Now, what's important for you to realise is I'm not going to change the order of those cards. I'm going to leave them in the box. There are millions of combinations with playing cards. Yeah. It is said that every time you shuffle a pack of cards, that pack of cards will never be in that same order again. Millions of different combinations. And here's the thing. If I'm going to ask each one of you to think of a card, but don't say anything out loud. But also, as well as thinking of a card, I want you to think of a position in the deck from 1 to 52, because there's 52 cards in the deck. So think of a card, think of a position. Now, like I said before, certain cards are more desirable than others. A lot of people will gravitate towards an Ace of Spades or Queen of Hearts. Likewise, I'm sure you've heard of lucky number 7. 7 is a very popular number for people to name. The combination of, for example, Ace of Spades and 7 is very high. It's somewhere around about 10 to 11% of people will name an Ace of Spades and number 7. So when I say to you, what's the chance of a particular card and a particular number appearing together? It very much depends, because different people name different cards, different people name different numbers. But there is a way to check. Yeah. And the way to check is by using a website that was set up from some students at Alabama University in America. They set up a little website, a very simple website, because they were doing a degree in probability playing card statistics or something like that. And they got everybody from all over the world to input data as part of their study. And what this website does is it tells you the exact percentage of how likely it is a combination of card and number are going to appear together, right? So you can check to see if it's a very common card. And I don't want you saying later on, everyone names the same card. Everyone names the same number. So we're going to use this website to fact check what's inside your head.
Okay.
I'm just going to put this here for a minute because we're going to need your hands. So I'm going to put that there for a minute. I'm not going to touch it. I want each and every one of you to take out your phones. Okay.
Oh, where did mine
Where did
go?
mine go? There we go.
I
Okay,
think
no,
it's right
mine's
behind
You
you.
got your phones?
Right.
There you go.
There you go. Mine. Can you pass
Yeah,
me
of
my
course.
jacket,
Is this
please?
your jacket?
That's my jacket, yeah.
There you go, of course. There you go.
Thank you.
And I'll put it back there for you as well.
Thank you so much.
No problem. I aim to please. Perfect. So
Thank
everybody, you're going to go to this wwebsite that was set up by these guys in America. And the website URL is unistats.org. So it's UNI for university, stats, S-T-A-T-S. .org. Now, you'll know when you're there, it's a very simple website that they set up, and it's got the University of Alabama logo at the top, and it's got a very simple interface. There's just 2 drop-down menus for a card and a position, and there's a green button.
Yeah.
Now, when you press the green button, it tells you the percentage chance of that card appearing in that position. Don't let me see the screens. Don't let anyone else see the screens. Put in the card that you're thinking of, put in the position you're thinking of, and then press the green button, but don't say anything. Remember the card, remember the position, obviously. That's important. And when you've got the percentage, just tell me, but don't tell me what the percentage is, just now. So you've all got a percentage,
Tell
right?
you what.
So press the green button and you'll have a percentage in front of you.
Okay.
When you're there, just let me know. Have you got that?
Yeah.
Now, I want this to be a very unlikely chance of this ever happening. So I'm looking for a percentage of less than, say, 5%. Put your hand up if you've got less than 5%. Sick. Okay, so has anybody here got a percent less than, like, 1%?
Not less than 1.
Not less than 1%. Okay, what's your percentage?
1.08.
Okay, 1.08. What's your percentage?
You've got a lower one than me.
What's yours?
3.33.
Okay. Yours is the lowest. Should we go with 1 point? What was it? 1.08.
1.08.
Should we go with 1.08? Okay, you guys can put your phones away. So 1.08. So if yours is quite high, that means that I don't know what card you picked, or it means that the combination you had is a very common thing. But 1.08, it's very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Very close.
Very unlikely. Just over a 1% chance that anybody ever names that card in that position. So you can put the phone away now. You remember the card?
Yes.
You remember the number?
Yes.
The position? Can you hold your hands out again for me?
Yeah.
I don't want to know the card.
Okay.
You've not said it out loud. Nobody knows that card. But I'm going to deal to that position in this deck.
Okay, I
So,
want a pack of crisps.
I like it. I do need to know the position because we're going to deal to that position. So what position?
48.
Flipping hell. Okay, that's a long way down. Okay, that's fine. No, it's okay. It's my fault. I shouldn't have picked you. So, here we go. 48. Dear Lord. Right, okay. 48. Here we go. Brace yourself. We're going to be dealing for a while. Right, here we go.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can keep me honest, make sure I'm not chatting. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Isn't this exciting? 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
This is invigorating.
41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. This is the 48th card.
This is your...
Now, you've never said your card out loud.
No.
You've never even, like, it exists in your head and your head only.
Yeah.
This deck was not touched.
Yeah.
The chances of this happening is 1.08%.
Yeah.
What was the name of your card?
It was the second of clubs.
The 2 of
The
clubs.
2 of clubs.
And you could have named any card.
I could have known.
And that's the first time that you've said that. And this is the 48th card.
That is insane. That is.
Oh my gosh.
What the fuck? What? Are you laughing because you knew that was going to happen, or are you laughing at our reaction?
This has never worked before. I mean, I got to share the moment with you guys. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean,
That is insane. I literally tried to pick the one that was like the most obscure.
Well, you certainly managed it. I've never had anyone named 48 ever.
Well, it's good to know. I'm testing how
Well, it was.
the extremes of which you can take this.
Oh my god.
That is brilliant. May
Thank
I
you.
just say that is
Thank you
fantastic.
so much.
That is
Well
Thank
done.
you so much.
Thank you so much. That was
You
such a
guys
I was
were
actually. Do you know? Oh my god. I genuinely thought if he gets this wrong, I'll feel really bad. So I really hope he doesn't get it.
The cool thing is, this wasn't me, this was you. You did this. You did the whole thing. You named the card, you named the number. All I did was deal and take the credit. This is all you.
Magic with my mind. I have powers.
Okay, so one more thing that David wanted to address, and honestly, I am cool with David. I'm cool with his with his review. You know, I can tell he's put a lot of time and effort into it. The one thing that really upset me, and I'll be honest with you, and I didn't think it needed to be included in his review, and I think it was very mean-spirited at best, was when he put a montage up of me licking my fingers. He put a licking finger montage in his review, and I don't understand why. He's very good friends with Don Wand, and on the Magic Cafe, Don Wand was kind of 3 or 4 times had posted over the 40 pages on the Magic Cafe talking about how Craig licks his fingers and it's disgusting and so on and so forth. And I pointed out to him, and David was quite active on that thread. I pointed out to him that I've got a bit of a issue with my hands at the moment, and honestly, it's kind of been freaking me out a little bit, because as a magician, I think the worst thing that could happen to a magician is they lose their ability in their hands. And I'm not losing any motor function or anything like that. But for the last couple of months, I've been trying to clear something up, and it's not cleared up at all. My hands will go bright red sometimes, like to the point that they're burning, like really, really hot burning. And skin will flake off sometimes. And you know, I went to a gig a couple of weeks ago, and I just looked at my hands and they were bright red, and there was skin flaking off, and I was like, oh my god, I don't think I can do this. Now I've got this cream which clears it up, which is great. The problem is, I went to Blackpool on the Tuesday because it was my friend Russ Brown's birthday, and I went down and my family came later, and I asked my wife to bring this cream with her, and she didn't. So I was in Blackpool without this cream. And it should have cleared up by now, in all honesty, and that's what I'm worried about, because it hasn't cleared up. It's only got worse. And so I'm a little bit freaked out about it. And I've mentioned that on the cafe. And David knew about this. And then he wanted to make the point of how it's difficult to split singles. And so he said, hey, you know, Craig deals with it by licking his fingers. And then he put a montage of me licking my fingers onto his video. And I don't get why. I said that on the cafe, and to his credit, he replied and he said, hey, I felt honestly that he was making fun out of something that is a real serious concern and issue to me at the moment. And I felt, and still do, honestly, like he was really just kind of being very mean-spirited about something that's really genuinely freaking me out. Because there's no need. You could have just said, Craig licks his fingers. That's obviously how you separate the singles. That's not that. That's not that at all. I've had this issue now for about 3 or 4 months, and if I haven't got my cream on me, you'll see it with a normal deck of cards. I find it easier to just do that briefly, to deal the cards. I mean, I don't need to, like, I've got no lick on my fingers, and I've got the cream on today. So I'm okay. Look here. Separating singles, no cream. I'm going to deal through every single single in this deck, just to prove to David it's nothing to do with licking your fingers. You go and look at the Facebook group, and you will see that there's lots and lots of people that are learning to do this deck and this trick and don't have a problem dealing singles. I'm not even looking at the deck. I'm just dealing singles all the way through. I'm not licking my fingers. Nobody should have to deal this many singles. I'm dealing them all the way through. It has got nothing to do with licking my fingers. You will watch my videos and you will see me licking my fingers about other things as well. You just will. It's genuinely, it's the soft touch on the bottom with your fingers that does it. It's got nothing to do with the licking of the fingers. Nothing at all. And to put that video up and to put a montage of me licking my fingers and then using the word lick underneath every time I lick it, I don't think that's fair. And I know there's going to be people that are going to be putting in the comments, oh, Craig's acting all like mopey again. That genuinely upset me, that somebody is making fun of something that is really freaking me out. And you can say, David, all you want about, oh, I was pointing out I'd never make fun of a medical condition. And I believe you. You're a doctor. I believe you. But, dude, you didn't need to do that to make a point. If you don't think that people can deal singles, which, by the way, I've been doing for all 104 of these cards, fairly easy, without even looking at the deck. Gets a little bit harder at the bottom, but I don't think I've ever dealt this far into the bottom and have to deal singles. I'm at like if you're having to deal to number 101, something's gone fucking wrong with the trick at this point. The point is, you didn't need to do that. You really did not need to do that at all. Just say you think that it's an issue dealing singles. Don't do a little lick montage and then put lick at the bottom. That is mean-spirited and that's really upset me. And I'll tell you another reason why it's upset me, and I've never talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it for the very first time. When I left this community because of Red, do you know what got me to leave? It wasn't, there was a German guy that made reviews at the time, like 10, 11 years ago. I can't remember who it was. There was a German guy. I can't remember. It was a website. It was a blog, and he put some really mean videos up. It wasn't him. It wasn't the thread on the Magic Cafe. It wasn't all of that. There was a lot of stuff that went on. But I'll tell you the moment I decided to quit this community. It was when this guy, Jersey Magic Reviews, decided to review Red, and he put a video up, and it was a 10-minute video. As part of the video, it was there. And he was talking about me licking my fingers and that I look like I should be in my mother's basement eating Cheetos, and I'm there licking my fingers because, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, that's been a bad habit. I used to suck my fingers when I was a kid. I can't believe I'm having to explain this on a fucking video. But I used to suck my fingers as a kid. And off the back of sucking my fingers, I was left with like a kind of almost like a tick where I have to lick my fingers. And I was ashamed of it and I was embarrassed with it. And I constantly would try to stop it. And it was watching that guy take the piss out of that made me quit the community and disappear for all those years. And honestly, David, watching that little montage on your video made me feel as bad now as I did when Jersey Magic Reviews did it 10 years ago. You know, let's just show you that video, because I know there's people that are going to call bullshit in the comments down below. Let's just play just a few seconds of that video where this guy takes the piss out of me.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's do this. How about this? How are we gonna do this? I want you to take half my deck here, right? Take half my deck, right? And just you know what I'm saying? Okay, just take like half the deck and then count the cards. Like so.
That was 10 or 11 years ago, and I feel the same way now as I did back then. And not in terms of quitting. I'm not going to quit this community at all. But you didn't need to bring that up. There's absolutely no justification for putting a montage up there of me performing the trick, licking my fingers. Yeah, I've got a medical condition. I'm fucking freaked out that I'm not going to be able to do magic because my fingers burn sometimes to the point that I can barely hold something. And I was at Blackpool without this cream that makes things better, and I had to get through it, and I was tired. I was so fucking tired, and I was working 18 hours a day while everyone else was having fun, and I was just there demming the same trick over and over and over again, and to get through I had to lick my fingers a few times. I'm very, very sorry, but I don't think that was fair. David, I don't have a problem with you. I genuinely don't have a problem with you, and I thank you for the review. I really do. And I believe what you said on the Magic Cafe when you said it wasn't personal, but it was definitely mean-spirited. You did not need to do that. I thank you for the review. I'm sorry you didn't like the trick. I'm sorry you think it's the worst trick of 2026. And I thank you for the positive points. You are right. On stage, this is absolutely incredible. There's certain points of view that we see. And I understand. Look, I'm not even denying that you're right about the statistics. You've got more of a chance of being right than me. I can barely add up 10 and 10. I'm not a numbers guy. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm not going to stand here and say everything that you said is bullshit, because I believe that everything that you said in that review is complete and total truth to you. I disagree. A bunch of other people disagree, because there's people that are out there performing the atomic deck. You can deal singles without licking your fingers. I'll do it anytime you want me to. I'll deal through this deck again if you want. It's not about anything other than the fact that I've got a bit of a tick with it. It's a bad habit. And it helps me when I haven't got my cream. You did not need to do that. So thank you for the review. I'm sorry you didn't like the trick, but I'm really disappointed you felt you needed to do that. Okay, so the next one is... a few people have said to me, especially after I had my meltdown on the Magic News, and I was like really depressed and forlorn and having a pity party on camera, which in hindsight I should have maybe stopped filming the Magic News and not done it immediately after watching Sean's review. In hindsight, that would have been a good idea. But you know, a few people have said, oh, everyone hates Craig. Oh, everyone hates him. Look at the hate in the comments. Everyone hates Craig. Look, here's the thing, right? This always happens when I get a big trick come out, or when I get any trick come out. About 3 or 4 times a year, there'll be some controversy that surrounds me, and people will come out the woodwork, and they will turn around and they will say whatever it is that they want to say about me. And a lot of it, frankly, is complete and total bullshit. It's kind of this mob mentality. People will just make stuff up. One of the stuff that people say is, it's a money grab. You know, he just wants your money. That's one that happens an awful lot. I just want your money. I just want your money. It's a money grab. Or he's a terrible magician. He can't perform his way out of a paper bag. Or, Craig bullies you, and he bullies me, and he bullies everybody, and he walks around like a bully. I don't know what to say, Michael. I mean, it's laughable, really, isn't it? Like, anybody who's seen me at a magic convention, I am just the most open person you will ever meet. I will literally help anyone with anything. Hell, the last 2 days, I've been jumping on Zoom with as many people as I can. In terms of being a money grab, I would be much better off if I was actually doing my job. I've got Michael behind the camera making notes so he can edit this. We've got stuff that needs doing. How much work have we got to do with the automation on the actual business?
A lot.
A lot. Like, how far behind are we right now?
Significantly.
Significantly. That's what you and I should be working on. But instead, you're making notes on a laptop behind the camera. I'm here trying to defend myself. Like, if I wanted to make money, I should be in there I should go on the sales desk. Matt's in there on his own. If I was there, we'd make more money. What am I doing? Like, it's ridiculous. Here's the other thing that I'll tell you, right? And I've never told this anybody. About 5 people know this. The atomic deck we've been working for, Murphy's going to kill me for saying this, but I don't care. We've been working on the atomic deck for about 4 years, and about about 2 years ago, maybe a bit longer, I had a phone call from Lloyd and George, and they turned around to me and they said, we don't think it's going to come out. And I was like, oh, why is it not going to come out? This is like revolutionary. You know, I really think this is going to move magic forward in a positive way. And they were like, well, we can't make the figures work. I was like, what do you mean you can't make the figures work? And it's like, well, you know, we don't want it to be too expensive. We want it to be at a price, but the cost of the printing and the deck and everything is going to be really expensive. We're not going to be able to make it work. And I turned round and I said, why don't I just massively reduce my royalties? Because with Murphy's, you get paid on a royalty scheme. You get a percentage of all the sales. And I said, if we can't make this work with the figures that we're working at the moment, just reduce my percentage, reduce it as much as you want. I don't care about the money. I just think that this is something that people will get a kick out of. And so I massively reduced my royalties on this. Not that I make that much money anyway. I'd be better off spending a week in the office, just working in the office. Michael, how many hours do you think you spend on editing YouTube videos?
A lot.
Are you employed by Magic TV?
No.
No, you're not. Is this even in your fucking job description?
Not really.
No. Have we got anybody else in marketing right now?
No.
No. So who has to do absolutely everything? You. I'm sitting here doing all these videos every single week. How much are we making from YouTube? What's our it went up recently because of all those videos. I'm going to look it up. I'm very excited. Michael, £510.92 in a month. Going out and doing a gig on Saturday, and I'm going to piss all over that. Jesus, like, honestly, these people that say, oh, Craig's in it for the money. Honestly, I don't want to rant anymore. I really don't. I haven't ranted for a long time. But anybody who thinks that way is wrong. Anybody who thinks I'm a bully, you know... there's a certain reviewer that made my life hell last year, and he's commenting and various different things and making little pop shots and saying, oh, Craig's a bully, Craig's this, Craig's that. Say whatever you want to, man. I don't care. I really don't. That's a lie, actually. I do care, because it really upsets me seeing all of the comments of people saying Craig's the worst person in the world, Craig's this, Craig's that. But then Sarah pointed something out to me the other day, because Sarah's way smarter than I'll ever be. Sarah pointed something out to me, and she was like, and we'll put some screenshots on the screen. Sarah pointed something out to me. She's like, okay, let's go on some of the videos and read some of the comments. I was like, are you fucking nuts? I don't want to read any of the comments. She was like, let's read this guy's comment. She just picked somebody at random. And she screen captured it and sent it over to me. And she's like, look at what this guy says. Oh, yeah. And he commented on that video. I'm like, yeah. Now go look at his YouTube channel. And it was set up that day. It was literally set up that day. Somebody set up a YouTube channel that day to make comments all over every video about how I'm the worst creator in the world. I've got some screenshots, Michael. You can put them up on the screen right now. And then she was like, look at this person. They set theirs up a week ago. Look at this person. They set theirs up a week ago. Look at that person and that person and that person and that person. I was like, Sarah, they've all set theirs up a year ago. And she was like, yeah, they have set them up a year ago. That's absolutely correct. And this is the first comment they've ever made on this channel. You can see that by looking at that. But you can also see that the same people, that same person, made their first comment. If you look back at this video that was attacking you a year ago, that was their first comment. And they were like, they made that channel up a year ago to attack you on that video, and now they're using the same YouTube channel to attack you on this video. It's like, half of these people are probably the same person. And I figured that there's 4 types of people that are commenting about how I'm the worst person in the world. The first one is fake accounts. And honestly, if you don't have the balls to tell me who you are when you want to tell me how terrible I am, I don't care about you. If you hide behind a fake account, you are somebody I don't want to listen to. Then you have people who just don't like me. For some reason, I'm like Marmite. I don't understand why, Michael. I'm fucking adorable. But apparently, there's some people out there. You love me, don't you, Michael?
Of course.
Exactly. I have to pay him to say that. But, you know, some people don't like me. So there's people out there that have got fake accounts. There's people out there that don't like me for whatever reason. And then there's some people out there that are just a bit nuts. Like, they're just nuts. I've actually put down insane people. Like, there's this guy, right? There's this guy. And he's posted this everywhere. So, you know, he's posted about 15 different times on various different YouTube videos talking about how the atomic death is the worst trick in the world. He's talked about how it's terrible. And on every single one of those videos, he's linked through to a video he did where it talks about the perfect ACAB. And so he's performing the perfect ACAB, which involves a red deck of cards, a blue deck of cards, 10 Uno cards, 4 red cards, 4 black cards from a separate deck, a phone to generate a random card. So you take a blue card out, and there's a phone to generate a random card. That might have been to make it random, I don't know. But he's got a blue deck, and he takes a card out of the blue deck. Then he puts that deck away, and then he takes some Uno cards, and he shows the Uno cards, and they say they've all got different numbers on them. Then he takes 8 number cards from a different deck, and he says, right, we're going to use these to eliminate packets of cards with the Uno cards. Right, take that. That's a red card, so that means you eliminate these. Now take this, and that eliminates these. And he eliminates these Uno cards down to 2, and then he puts them together, and he goes, that's the number. That's a free choice, isn't it? Now let's take the other deck that's been here the entire time, and let's use that number and the card that I'm like, this is the most convoluted hot mess of shit I've ever seen in my entire life. But you know what? He thinks it's the perfect take can, so that's his opinion. My opinion is it sucks balls, and that's the thing. He thinks that the atomic deck is terrible because it uses thin cards, because you have to use a phone, because it's a 90% hit rate, because of all of the reasons that he didn't like it. And you know what? He's right. His opinion is completely correct. He thinks I'm a terrible person and my trick is terrible and it sucks balls, and that his trick is amazing. My opinion is putting the deck down on the table and just saying, name a card, name a number, especially with the crib, and 89% of the time, I don't have to do anything. 10% of the time, I have to reframe it. For me, that's a better solution than having a pile of stuff on your table that you have to use. That's my opinion. I am correct. He is correct. Sean Devine was correct when he said said the trick was terrible. And that brings me on to one more thing, and I was going to do this as a separate thing, but I'll do it with this one. With the whole people hate Craig, YouTube reviewers hate it as well. Well, let's just go through the YouTube reviewers that reviewed it so far. Luke Dancy, who I've literally got his name tattooed on my arm. Yes, he wasn't a big fan. No, he loved it. He loved it. Luke loved it. Luke thought it was amazing. Not only did he think it was amazing, but he was actually, people have trashed it in the comments, and he's been defending me. Honestly, I feel like I'm in Bizarro land right now. Thank you, Luke. I really appreciate that. Magic Orthodoxy liked it. Fiddler Johnny has just put his review up. He loves it. Vanish Magazine, Paul Rohamani, he loved it. Now, all of these people are getting negative comments on their YouTube channels, and they're being told, I'm unsubscribing because you are obviously being strong-armed into saying lies about this trick. And that's the thing that really gets to me. You know, I know there's going to be people that point to this video and they're going to go, oh, Craig's done another 1-hour video responding to a review. This isn't responding to a review. This isn't about one particular reviewer. This is about people in the comments, realistically. And I think that as a community, I agree with Sean. Sean said it's too toxic, we should do better. I have been trying my hardest to do better. I've been trying my hardest not to rant. I've been trying my hardest not to piss people off. Even when the review went up by Sean, who doesn't like the trick, and that's fair enough, even when the review went up, well, I said thank you. That's what I did. I said thank you. When he apologized, I said there's no need to apologize. We need to do better. And I bring up one last thing, which is Blake Along. And I'm a big fan of Blake. He is one of my favorite reviewers in Magic. He's a young kid who is hyper intelligent. I think he's doing some sort of doctorate at the age of 14 or something at this point. He's like Sheldon Cooper, but with a personality. The kid is a genius and an amazing magician. And he put a review of the Atomic Deck and talked about pros and cons, but said ultimately he liked it. I think he gave it 90-odd%. He said he probably wouldn't do it, but he can appreciate it. He really likes it, blah, 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 blah. There's people in there that have really been showing him hate. This is a kid, and I'm still not going to rant right now, but the most important thing to me in this industry is young magicians coming up because they are the future of this industry. And it's okay to hate on me, a 48-year-old old fart, overweight magician who's an easy person to attack. Go right ahead. But anybody, and this is not a rant, but I'm telling you right now, anybody, absolutely anybody who thinks it's okay to go onto a kid's channel who's trying their best to get a name out for themselves and make reviews on products and say, oh, you're biased, you've been paid off, I'm unsubscribing to your channel, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. That is a scummy move. And anybody who does that, you should really seriously have a quiet word with yourself, because that is terrible. Blake, I am so sorry that this has happened to you, and I'm so sorry that you've been dragged into this. Luke Dancy, Magic Orthodoxy, Fiddler Johnny, everybody that's reviewed this and given it a good review, the people in the Facebook group that have been giving this a good review and that have been championing this trick, the people that have bought it, that are going out performing it, that are talking about loving it, that are getting dragged into arguments online. I am so sorry. I am so sorry that everybody has been dragged into this. I did not intend this to happen. And I'll tell you right now, if you are somebody who is intending to make me feel bad by leaving comments online, if you are, in the last 4 days, I've had 70 anonymous emails from various different people saying the atomic deck is terrible, blah, 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 blah. I'm used to this now. I had people call the police on my, call the police and send them round to my house last year after a little controversial incident and say, oh, Craig's beating up his wife and his kids, and it was my wife that had to deal with that because I was in America. That sucked. Everybody that does this stuff to me, I'll tell you right now, I wasn't going to bring this up. I had somebody, and it's in the police's hand, all of this stuff is in the hands of the police, but I had somebody send me a picture through email of a picture of me and Ryland sitting in a cafe in Blackpool eating from a distance, just with the comments underneath an anonymous email, the atomic deck is shit, you better watch out. All of those people, you are pathetic. You are absolutely, completely and totally pathetic. Find something better to do with your time. You might love me, you might hate me, but I'm trying every single day to put content out that is improving this community. And I'm going to carry on doing it. And if you don't like it, then get out of my way, because I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop making videos. I'm not going to stop producing content. And I'm not going to stop trying to take people and build them up. And anybody who tries to push people like Blake along down, anyone that tries to push these people down, I've been there. I've been in that situation when I first started this channel, where I was screaming and I was shouting, and it made me angry all the time. I don't want to be that person anymore. Take it from somebody who was there. Sean is right. Let's end this whole thing with what Sean Devine said on his apology video. There's too much toxicity in this industry, in this community. People feel that they can have a carte blanche to say whatever they want to. I know Sean has had just as much hate as I have, and it's not nice for him. It's not nice for me. Sean, you carry on making those videos. You carry on making those tutorials, because I'm going to carry on making mine. And Blake and Luke and everybody else, carry on, because, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. My friend David from Magic Orthodoxy, not Magic Orthodoxy, my friend David from Unbiased Magic Reviews, I know he's going to be dropping a review at some point soon. And I know it's not going to be a great review, but I know it's going to be his opinion, and that's absolutely fine. If you don't like this trick, then that's cool. I don't want to change your mind. But let's be less nasty about it. And if you're going to say it's terrible, then I'm going to leave you with one last thing. I'm going to leave you, and then I'm going to sign off. This is the last thing I'm leaving you with. I'm going to play you a little video. It's only a few seconds long. And it's a video of me handing the cards out at various different gigs. You're going to see me handing the cards out over and over again to various different people in various different performing situations. The overarching thing that I see in the reviews is, this trick doesn't work in the real world. It's magic for magicians. It's designed just to be a cash grab for magicians. Watch the reactions to these tricks. Look at how people react. Look at me putting the cards in people's hands. You can say what you want about this trick. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you think it's convoluted, that's fine. But I've been using it in the real world now for about 3.5 years. I've been using it to close my show for about the last 2 years. I use it in every single gig. And I guarantee you I work and perform more than most people that are watching this video. So to say it doesn't work is just a lie. If you're going to review it, if you're going to say something about it, at least tell the truth. But don't say it doesn't work in the real world, because it does. Now, I open the comments up to all of the haters, everybody who says I'm a terrible person. The floor is yours. I will see you again tomorrow with a wonderful Talk Magic. And we're finishing with this video.
Yeah. I don't get it. How did he... you fucking changed it twice. That doesn't make sense. The pack didn't move. You didn't move the pack.
Yeah, you can check those out.
I watched the whole thing on video and the free Hindu.
That is
mad. Should I stop the video?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to send it over to you guys.
Oh, okay, thank you. I watched the whole thing. I zoomed right in on that.
You didn't touch the pack.
Yeah, but I changed the...
You changed.
I didn't actually change them. He just changed them.
It's an Italian company. They're expanding their business in Europe. So, what is your role like?
So the coin's one thing, but that confuses the hell out of me.
I don't get it.
Because that didn't feel like sleight of hand. Don't seem to touch it.
Sleight of hand, I was watching him just do this. It doesn't make sense.
I'm so glad you didn't go for any others. I would have been in big.
Oh my gosh.
Did anything?
That's crazy.
It's just outrageous because it's actually just a pack of cards. Fuck me. That's ridiculous.
Wow.